Yeah.
Okay, welcome very, very much to Conversation. A pleasure to welcome to a very busy man, Randy Credico. He's an American comedian, political activist of a high order, of the highest order in a very real sense. And he's also the candidate for, running to become a candidate for the mayor of New York City. Randy, welcome so much to Conversations and Manhattan Network.
Nice to be here with you,
It's
Harold.
really good to be with a real, honest-to-God comedian, and you are a real comedian of the highest order.
I like to say satirist, because comedian, well, I guess comedian, that's the general term, but underneath it you have clowns, you have, you have ventriloquists, and you have shock comics, and then you have satirists, and you have political satirists, and I would like to classify myself as of the latter, genre.
Political satirist.
Political and social satire. I suppose maybe it all can be classified as that, because in the end, we're all making fun of the world, but I did that for a long period of time. I still dabble in stand-up comedy.
Good.
And are in clubs. I do a lot of benefits, and I do a lot of fundraisers for like BAI and anti-war organizations. Veterans for Peace, and many others. I've done more benefits than I've done actual paid gigs, I think, over the past 10 years by far. But I've always done those, and the crowd's usually my kind of crowd. It's usually a very politically progressive audience. Whatever the word progressive is, everyone calls themselves progressive these days. I know the word Democrat, the party of Obama, and the party of Andrew Cuomo, and the party of Christine Quinn, and all of the other clowns, is not a progressive party. I mean, it's not progressive, and they call themselves progressive, but I don't know where. They won't even attack none of these politicians that I'm running against. I'm running as a Democrat. I'm running as a, I'm a registered Democrat. It's like Groucho Marx said he wouldn't want to be in a party that would have me as a member. Well, I'm in a party that doesn't want me as a member, so I'm part of it. They don't want me in it. I ran 3 years ago against Chuck Schumer as a Democrat, and he had me knocked off the ballot because he didn't want to debate all of the issues that I was concerned about at the time, and still am, with the Patriot Act, building a fence on
Where to begin with the
Iraq war, the siege of Gaza, the drug war that's now spreading throughout Africa, Central America, even though there's a pushback. But, we're shifting. The world has become just this weird global empire, the United States, just trying to consume the world's resources. And they're, they're Confederates to the cause, all of these politicians. And the local ones won't ever criticize. You should use the mayor's office, and even if you're running as a bully pulpit, to attack the power structure, even if it's part of the same party. There was an abolitionist by the name of Charles Sumner, who was around from Massachusetts. He was a Whig and a Republican, and he was a real strong abolitionist. And he said that a politician that is loyal to his party can't be trusted. So, and most of them can't be trusted. There are a few that will criticize their party, and like Paul Wellstone, the late Paul Wellstone, and look what happened to him. So they usually just it's a gang. It gets in. It's they say the ins and the outs, and these guys come in there. They got the patronage. They have no ideals. They have no passion. They just want to be in there, get their pension, have a little, what appears to be power, but we know where the power is. Power is on Wall Street. The power is in the military industrial complex. In New York City, the power is in the police industrial complex. Ray Kelly has tons of power. He's been there for 12 years. He's like a J. Edgar Hoover type. In France, they had a guy by the name of Fauché under Napoleon. And then in Italy, you had a guy by the name of Arturo Buccini under Mussolini that did the same thing. And they accumulate and infiltrate, and they got the intelligence units here, that basically gathering evidence, surveilling like they're doing on a national level. But so is the police commissioner. It's not to stop terrorism, it's just to stop dissent, as we saw at Occupy Wall Street, which, if you see right here, I was arrested 5 times. I'm the only guy who shows on his literature that he was arrested. This is right down the street here at 47th and Broadway.
Yeah.
I was arrested for no reason. They just picked me out of the crowd because they thought I was possibly the leader. 25 days into the movement, and I was in the front of the march because I was smoking a cigar and I didn't want to bother anyone with the cigar smoke. And so they thought maybe I was a Pied Piper for that cigar. Once we got to Broadway, we were divided on one side of 7th Avenue, Broadway, and the other side of 7th Broadway, and someone breached the barricades and on our side, and I was 6 deep in. But they came through and grabbed me, hit me on the ground, took me to the substation on 42nd Street.
They put you
let
through
me
the
go.
system?
Yeah, but they put me not through the whole system. It was only for an hour. I got arrested 4 other times as well. I got arrested 4 other times. Again, stop and frisk. Once at Albany with
Thank
Occupy.
you for that.
Twice with stop and frisk with Cornell West. And that really kicked off. That street movement really gave that stop and frisk the momentum that's happening right now.
Good.
When Cornell West was with us at the 28th precinct, then we did it in the 73rd precinct in Brownsville. And I just beat that case, but I lost the first case with Cornell and 22 others. But we got so much press, and it gave it a lot of momentum once you hit the street, because you just can't do it to the courts, because the court system is so corrupt on every single level. It's racist, it's corrupt, and the jobs, as we know, of the criminal courts is to put black and brown people in jail, and then the appellate division and the Supreme Courts, whatever you have here, you have the appellate division. Their job is to keep black and brown people there, give them false hope. It's
360 degrees. You can look every direction. Everything's screwed up. It seems like me. It seems like there's something really big needed to change. And the Occupy was expressing that not only in the United States but around the world, don't you think?
Yes, the Occupy movement was a very significant movement. Unfortunately, it was squelched by the Obama administration. They coordinated it because
Mr. Bloomberg was your rival.
Bloomberg was a local, but they did it in Baltimore. I mean, in California.
Oakland,
they did it in Oakland. They did it all over the country. They coordinated it because they don't want to move
Randy,
it.
Around the world.
Okay,
because
there
it's
too.
messed up around the world.
Auckland, I know it was there. They did not. They don't want dissent. You know what I mean? It was like a Spartacus movement appearing here. You know,
what do you think? We got this new guy, another new Bradley Manning. You know, we got
this
new guy coming.
I think he's a great guy. He's a hero. Yes, I can't. You know, and Edward Snowden,
another hero.
I saw it as it was breaking. I was able to tweet it out immediately, and I think he and Bradley Manning. I would have people like that working. If I were mayor, I would have people like that going through the files of the NYPD and getting all that information out there.
That's part of your platform. That's part of your platform.
I would have someone like Julian Assange, and he was a controversial figure on both the left and right. But I'd have someone that, like WikiLeaks, to manage and give out all the information on these agencies that run the city. All of the the intelligence unit reports of the NYPD, and find out who's really running the city. Wall Street, we would see who's really giving money to the candidates. And how it runs on a local level as a model for the state and the feds. If we could do that. But, of course, they don't want that to be done. Capital, the cartels on Wall Street and the banks, they run the city. It's not even, it's the banks, and he's part of it.
He facilitates it. He's part of it.
Yes, he's the mayor, and he does. Look, they gave it to Giuliani for 8 years. Just a thug. Just like a Somoza kind of thug. And then they said, all right, we're just going to run it ourselves. All right? We're just going to buy these elections, and we're going to run it ourselves, which is what Bloomberg has done. We just run, and they don't know who to give it to right now. They don't want to give the power over.
I think you're right.
Right now. And any place else, there would just be a coup, but there's going to be some kind of electoral coup that we're not even going to know about. There's going to be, they're going to destroy people like John Liu, who happens to be the best of the crew probably, but they got this federal investigation on him. Feds can go after anybody.
That's right.
They can go after anybody. It's a hit job. They're there. Basically, Luca Brasi and The Godfather. That's what they are. The feds are like that. All of the judges there and the prosecutor, U.S. attorneys there were appointed by Schumer. You know, Schumer works. He's a whore for Wall Street, and he does what they want, and that's what they say. He's our boy there, and he supports the war in Iraq. He supports the war in Afghanistan. He supports the drone strikes, the siege of Gaza. There's nothing. The drug war. There's nothing good about Schumer, and so you have judges. These judges that are there. They've stuffed it on a city county, state level, everywhere. All of the judges. There was a book written in 1855 called Atrocious Judges by this fellow abolitionist by the name of Richard Hildreth.
All right, I don't know it, yeah.
Well, you don't know about it, but you should. It's based on the writings of a British Lord jurist by the name of Lord Campbell.
Okay.
And Lord Campbell, it was basically about the judges in the Stuart era, right? Who were used as tools. They're the ones with the real power.
Yes.
The judges. You need the judges to say that the law is right. To give the law some credit, to give the law,
political legitimacy.
So they're the ones who carry out the laws. The judges, the prosecutors. That's what you have here. They are. You have laws, but it's the judges that ultimately inflict it on you. Right? And so you have a bunch of scalawags in both the Eastern and the Southern District. And the local level, whether it be Manhattan, District Attorney Vance, even the black prosecutor up in the Bronx, Bob Johnson, certainly Richard Brown in Queens, Donovan in Staten Island, and Joe Hines, they are tools of the power structure. That's it. They like to put black and brown people in prison. All right? They like to keep everyone immobilized and inoculated from rising up and organizing, and then
again, that's why they had to break Occupy.
Well, that was growing.
That's
it was
still
growing.
Alive and well.
I don't know if it's alive and well. It's certainly a mindset.
It's alive and well in your campaign, if I may suggest.
Yes, I would
use,
like I said,
for that.
I would use them.
You tap into that angst that is there at the popular level.
Well, I certainly would impose a 0.5%, and that's even mild compared to what some Occupy Wall Street veterans would want. They'd want a 1%, and I'd say, okay, 0.5%. Like they all go crazy. Anyone that's a Wall Street trader would go nuts at a 0.5% sales tax. In other words, if you buy 50,000 shares of Apple, you're going to pay 0.5%.
Yes.
So the thing is so manipulated. And this would you'd raise revenue and you'd cut back on the massive intrusion into this vehicle. It's a casino anyway. I mean, Bloomberg made all of his money
the Bloomberg wire.
Well, yes, he made a lot of money. He doesn't gamble. He doesn't put his money into the stock market.
No,
what
like
he does,
or
you go to racetrack. Go to racetrack. All right, who makes the money? The track makes the money.
Well, they make a steady 3% off the top.
And none of the people that gamble,
because they're moving the money around.
The people, who makes money? The people that sell tip sheets, tout sheets, and racing forms. Walter Annenberg
made his money
made all of his money racing forms. He didn't gamble.
I know that.
He didn't bet horses. So that's what Bloomberg has provided all of these suckers out there with information. Go to Bloomberg TV and you see, you get the reports about the PE, the PG, the little metrics, the fundamentals, and all this, and you think you know what you're doing. And in the meantime, there's when you got to have a broker involved,
and you got to factor in all the swaps and derivatives and all that.
You don't know anything.
But beyond the physics of understanding.
The whole thing is a Ponzi scheme, all right?
Well,
so he's made money. $20 billion by not gambling. Never gambled. He got you to gamble. Just like Walter Annenberg got a racing form. Gave everyone a racing form. You go to the track, you see his horse. He's good on the mud. He's good, coming from behind.
I had a lady that helped drag me up when I was a kid in Detroit, and everything. She taught me my mathematics by, she taught me how to shoot craps at 8 years old. Something. And then she taught my mathematics by reading those fifths of a second in the racing form.
No kidding.
So there's something to be said for the racing form.
225 and a quarter second, a fifth of a second.
That's right.
That's the way it works.
What do you see?
36-4 breezing.
There you go, and easy. And
I used to go all the time to the track. I grew up in Southern California. I used to go to Santa Anita racetrack, and I won, and so once I got hooked, and it's like the worst thing, you get hooked on horse racing.
You think it is? Horse
well,
racing?
it's terrible. It's like
anything else. At least you can get out in the sun and everything like that.
Well, if you go out there and you get and you're compulsive and you have like an addictive personality, horses are not the place because it's instant gratification in a minute and a half.
Right.
So I used to love to go, but it's funny. I had all three winners of the Triple Crown, but I didn't bet.
Win?
No, I didn't bet them, but I did the last three races. The Kentucky Derby,
No, this year. Or
yes,
something.
no, this one.
Really?
I would have bet all 3 if I was still gambling.
Really?
You know, the one the other day with Mike
ahead.
Smith, I wanted it with Todd Fletcher.
You didn't have any money down?
I didn't. There's no OTB here.
And I know.
You know, if there was OTB, I would have.
Well, they used to have OTB.
Yeah,
what
but they closed it down because it was incompetent.
Because it was incompetent.
It was
really?
incompetent. It's another, like most of the agencies in the city are incompetent.
Yeah.
Agency for Children's Services, incompetent.
Yeah.
The criminal justice system, incompetent from a justice point of view, but it's competent for the power structure.
Yeah.
They have this vehicle of repression as a socioeconomic vehicle to keep poor black and Latinos off guard.
Right.
We have 60% black youth unemployment. This is what they're going to get.
Highest percentage of prison in any country in the world. I think 2.5 million people in prison.
Yeah.
now.
It's high. It's 25% of the world's population. New York, when Attica erupted in September of 1971, they had 10,000 prisoners statewide.
Did you know?
Now there's 61,000. It's gone up 6-fold. All right, in 40 years.
Do you know Dr. Joel?
Yeah.
Did you know he passed? You know, I'm sorry to say. I'm really sorry. He's a great guy. He was at Attica.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people in jail
I think it was
still.
Ramsey Clark got him out. Ramsey Clark's a great guy.
He's
a
really
hero.
a great guy.
There are some heroes,
He is. He really is. He's one of these guys who is a whistleblower too in the justice system.
Absolutely.
Just like this kid Snowden.
Yeah,
and so
Snowden's
Bradley
another hero.
Manning is Bradley Manning. They should be giving him awards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
it's like Smedley Butler. But once you go against the system, like Smedley Butler did, talking about Nicaragua, El Salvador, Haiti, China. He said he was a racketeer for capitalism. That's all he was. He was an enforcer for capitalism, and that's all we're doing in the military right now. With
Where do we go back in the tradition, if it could, you yourself or in general terms, like you had Mark Twain, you had that, and then you had Lenny Bruce, you had
Mort Saul. There's a lot of Mort Saul was
Buckley,
good.
Lord Buckley,
Buckley,
that kind of stuff.
Urban Corey, Professor Urban Corey. Well, I visit him once or twice.
Who's the other guy? The guy that passed it was so good. He was on the stage. The other guy, I can't remember.
Dick Shawn?
No, what was his? Damn, I can't remember.
Which one was he? What does he look like?
He was Irish.
Will Rogers.
No, not Will Rogers going too. But no, he just died recently. But he was so good.
You're talking about. I know who you're talking about. Don't ask me because I can't think of his name.
I can't think
right now. But I know the guy you're talking about. The guy with the beard. Yes.
Yeah, and he was so good.
George Carlin.
Carlin.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
He is very good.
He was a hero of mine.
Well,
he
a couple of
really
things that he did that I didn't like, but
What
in Las Vegas, I was working there in 1992, 91, and there was I was working doing impressions.
Yeah,
and a show called that's what I do. I'm a political impressionist.
I didn't know that.
Yes, well,
maybe you could
back
do a
then,
couple
I
before
was
we
doing
end the
Reagan
program.
back then. I was doing Reagan.
Yeah.
I was doing George Bush's father. God bless America. Here's regular George.
George
Bush.
Of light.
Now his father talked like this. We are not at war with the people of Iraq. We are at war with the Iraqi people. Never have so few killed so many for so few who have so much. So I did all these impressions. I did all the presidents. I did Nixon, my fellow Americans. Let me make it perfectly clear. I did Ted Kennedy back then, and I did Hubert H. Humphrey, you name it. I did the Tonight Show in '84, and Humphrey had been dead. I did his voice. I did regular impressions. I do Jack Nicholson. I started out with guys like James Mason. I did mostly actors to begin with.
You're pretty good,
Fred
man.
McMurray, the guy from My Three Sons. Remember Fred Walter Mays now. On the Examiner, your copy will be sacred. So when I came to New York in '81, after watching Ted Kennedy's speech at the convention, you remember that great speech that he gave?
Yeah, kind of.
I was working with Red Buttons and Eddie Bracken, who was in a few Preston Sturges films. And I watched this. I was working up in Reno, snorting cocaine and hanging out with dancers. But I was in a show, and he was in a show called not Sugar Babies, but Burlesque USA. Both Red and Eddie Bracken. Then he did a show with Carol Channing at the Sahara Reno, and I was there. So Red and I were basically crying because he was an old leftist when Reagan won in 1980, and they got rid of all the liberal Democrats in the Senate. But I had seen Ted Kennedy's speech from New York at the convention, and it was really very moving. And I basically came here, and when he said, for those whose hopes have been our concern, the cause endures, the the work goes on, and the dream shall never die. And so that's just paraphrasing it. But that kind of got me. And then I saw the movie Reds with Nicholson, where he plays the cynic, what's his name, Eugene O'Neill. And I saw that film with Warren Beatty, and I said, you know what, I got to what am I doing in Las Vegas? Bill Kunstler had influenced me. I read a book.
Another hero.
Well, I read a book there.
You were on the Bill Kunstler Foundation.
I ran the Bill Kunstler Fund for Racial Justice from 1997 until 2011. I worked 14 years, and I left it because, you know what, I'm a great organizer. I'm a fabulous organizer. I'm just very bad at raising money because I don't like to ask people for money.
Or you don't like to ask the people that got the money for money. You wouldn't want to have anything to do with the people that... You wouldn't want to have anything... Again, back to you wouldn't want to join any club that would have you as a member.
I just don't like to ask people for money, you know?
Okay, right.
Because you compromise, too, if you get money from foundations. I was getting some money from some foundations there, and then they control you. You know what I mean? They want you to do this. They don't want you to do that. So...
Have I got a bill for you to consider?
No. Just there are groups out there. There are billionaires who give... I'm not going to mention anyone's name. Who give money to foundations, but then of course they want to have influence. I mean, they fund these umbrella groups who fund smaller groups like mine. Mine was an activist group. 90% of the money was on overhead, and 10% was on administration costs. So overhead means for activism. For activism. So I
was that the Kunstler one you mean?
The Kunstler Fund, and two of the things that we did. And I had Margaret Ratner Kunstler, his wife is the president of the organization, and I hope to rekindle the Kunstler Fund.
That's another part of your campaign. You got a thing here. I got a thing here.
Let me just finish about Kunstler here.
Go on.
Because I met Bill Kunstler and I did his voice too, and I met him in 1986. And he and I were very close for the next until he died on September 5th, 4th or 5th. 1995.
Sad day.
And
great
so
loss,
I knew him for 9 years, and we hung out a lot, and it was a big loss. His daughters are carrying on the tradition. Sarah is a lawyer. She works, for people that poor African Americans and Latinos mostly, and wrapped up in the criminal justice system.
Which is an awful lot of who's there.
That's all it is. It's the chow for all these white judges and white lawyers and white prosecutors. They're there, and then you got Rikers, you got the court officers, you got the bail bondsmen, you got the people that clean sheets, you got the buses that go to Rikers. That's the only job that the black New Yorkers have taken. Ironically, they're like couples in a concentration camp.
Like serfs on a feudal estate, huh?
Yes.
Like serfs on a feudal estate.
Well, there's always a house blank. I mean, but it's the only jobs that are offered. There's some. They say we got a very mixed police force. That's because they include in the count the people who do traffic, who are the best police that we have because they do something good. They get the traffic moving.
Mr. Bloomberg, when he busted up Occupy, said that's a 22,000-man army that I've got.
It's 36,000.
36,000.
He said it was
army.
Big. Yeah, he said it was his army, and it is an army.
It's an army.
It's an out of control
occupation.
It's an out of control army. Yes, of occupation
across the country.
Well, the French had these.
Across the world.
Yes,
right?
the French had the French had the National Guard under Lafayette, who was a real scumbag. Lafayette that kind of tried to suppress the real progressive elements of the French Revolution. And you had the Cossacks in Russia that worked on behalf of the Tsar to repress any kind of spirited association, like not a rebellion even, just people demonstrating on the street, because that's ultimately the only way you're going to change the system. Certainly not going to change it with this election. It'll be a seamless transition.
If you get elected mayor, I think
I'll be dead.
There'll be some changes.
Yes, I will be. They will take me out of on my victory night. They will drive me in a open air convertible to Daley Plaza in Dallas, and I will be shot from behind and the front. And they'll say it was the guy in the book depository. They're not letting me run the city. They're not the people who run the city. All of the huge real estate interests
Haven't you got them all
No,
in your back pocket, Randy?
I got
Haven't
a
you
friend
got
of
them all
mine.
in your back pocket?
I got a couple of friends that own apartments. You want to say, but they want to see a big progressive tax.
Right. Well, you got it down here. You got it down in your thing. This is every one of these things. Eliminate. Talk some of your issues. Okay.
Well, I just my issues is that I would bring in Cornel West to run the school system.
Okay.
I would bring in Frank Serpico to run the police department.
Welcome back, Frank.
He's 73, 74 years old, but he was someone of that. Frank Serpico in an eponymous way.
The police.
Someone that I would put in there that it has the same positions. I would not have Ray Kelly. In fact, I would investigate Ray Kelly, and I think some of the things that they've done. I think some of the things that they've done.
There should be that kind of an attitude.
Yeah, of course. We got to fight back. They are in complete control. The monetary interests control, and these guys are just their enforcers. Ray Kelly, before he did this, before he did this, he was with Bear Stearns doing security for them. This is where his mindset is. And before he was that, he was with Customs for Clinton. And what did he do for Clinton at Customs? They had the biggest scandal they've ever had. This Customs is where Herman Melville got his start, right?
Really?
He did it in 1840s. Yes, he was a. That's why he was a guy. He worked at Customs. Yeah, that's how he was so much about the sea. He went a long time between Moby Dick and Billy Budd. But he was a great abolitionist himself. He wrote a great ode to called him the. We're really going off on a lot of free association and tangents. But he did a beautiful piece on called him the Meteor, John Brown.
John Brown.
He had never seen the all like John Brown. He's my hero too.
They had a good thing on public television about the abolitionists a little while.
Oh yeah, I must have missed it. But I'm a big
John Brown.
A big fan of that era. We don't have it right now.
No,
that era was great.
It's like we need an emancipation.
Well, you got to read about.
We need an emancipation proclamation for the people of the world.
Well, emancipation proclamation only freed the slaves in the South.
Well, we need to free the
What you need is the 13th Amendment has to be. We have it right now. After the 13th Amendment, remember, we had convict leasing after Reconstruction for 80 years.
Fugitive Slave Act, for Christ's sake.
Fugitive Slave Act was 1850, and it was broken by both Henry Clay from South Carolina and another Whig. These were reactionary Whigs because it was the Whig Party was kind of progressive in many ways. The other one was Daniel Webster. Everyone thinks Daniel Webster was this great guy. Emerson wrote this dark dirge piece about him.
Did he?
Yes, he did. Because he was Secretary of State under Franklin Pierce, and he enforced the fugitive slave law. In other words, he was in charge. He was up during the Liberty Convention.
Well, in a certain sense, that's a metaphor for the present. I mean, we got a system where everything's owned by a tiny group. I don't suppose you'd want to do anything to bother the big banks. You'd just like to let them go with all the money they were given in order for all the.
Well, they made a lot of money. New York City. Remember, they were conspirators with the South. We had here. They had what's called dough-faced Democrats or copperheads. Dough-faced Democrats, right? If you see the movie Lincoln, which is just okay, I mean, nice performance. But anyway, there's a guy in there who leads a charge against the 13th Amendment by the name of Fernando Wood, who was a representative in 1863. Before that, he was a district attorney, or he was the mayor for 2 or 3 terms in New York City, and he was a very rich merchant. Made a lot of money on the slave trade, basically,
because he had Well, there's a lot of people making money on the slave trade now because the people of the world are essentially in a serf-like position to the few people who are doing very well within the system, and a vast abolitionist movement is needed now.
Well, you need it right now. There's a nice book.
Your platform runs on practically all the things that are relevant to that particularly large-scale systems change that the whole planet needs now.
Well, it certainly needs a lot of change, big change. We need a massive jobs program here.
All
you know
right,
what I mean?
You see
we could do it by taxing Wall Street, 0.5% sales tax on Wall Street. Some people call it the Robin Hood idea. It's been around.
Robin
I got
Hood,
Richard Wolff has given me. Richard Wolff, you may know.
You like Richard?
Yes, I do. He's given me a lot of advice on how to raise money, and progressive real estate tax should be one way of doing it. Another way, the main one.
Real estate. Would it go with Henry George? Would it go with Henry George?
I don't know.
Are you familiar?
No.
You want to be familiar maybe with Henry George?
Well, we'll have to get to Henry George another time. Right now, Richard Wolff is my guy, and he teaches at the New School, and he's a great economist. And he's at the Breck Forum. He's also very good. He's got a radio show on WBAI on Saturday. and he's
starting
very
to do stuff over here too at MNN. I'm
Well,
happy
he should.
to say that's
I
real
like-
faculty. We got to get really good faculty here in multimedia. Let's
Yes.
get you over here if we could.
well.
But
I'd
anyway,
like to,
that's another issue.
But we're talking
your
about Wolf.
campaign-
What he's done
yeah,
is he
okay.
kept talking, and we talked about the 0.5% sales tax
Yeah,
on Wall Street.
right.
You pay sales tax on $100 shoes. You pay sales tax on a soda. You pay sales tax on everything
why don't you
here.
pay a
But you
sales-
don't pay a sales tax when you
on-
buy a security or
Yeah.
a piece of stock from Apple.
Is that related to the Tobin tax that was being suggested? Are you familiar with that around? That was on trades of petroleum and things like that. A
Yeah.
little bit of a say on the thing that the people are getting the
That
big
was
money
there was
from.
always a very small,
a small
one
percentage.
penny,
Yeah,
a
it
one
could
penny
realize
sales tax.
millions for the
but
people.
you could actually realize we could realize
Yeah.
$60 billion
Yeah,
a year on a wall. They'll say, well, we're going to move to Jersey then.
Yeah,
I say, okay,
yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's great real estate
Yeah,
down there. We'll use
right.
it for affordable housing.
Right, right.
We'll take it.
Yeah,
Go. Get
yeah,
out of here.
yeah,
Let us get some.
So that's
get
a
a nice
major-
view of the Statue of Liberty. A lot of people who are out. We have 20,000, 30,000 homeless women and children
Yeah.
in this city.
Yeah.
Maybe and the conditions of the homeless shelters are atrocious. I
Absolutely.
speak to the people
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people in homeless shelters
God
are
bless
on
you.
the street.
God bless you.
Homeless vets, people in jail.
Yeah.
They're not going to vote for me. But the reason why I'm in this
Yeah.
is that they get a
Yeah.
voice
Yeah.
in this upcoming
Yeah.
Democratic primary,
All right,
and
that's
then I'm
good.
going to go on and run as an independent in the general election.
Yeah.
But someone's got to give
Yeah.
a voice to those who have
Right,
been
right.
so downtrodden
right.
by this really.
Yeah.
It's like I mentioned the French Revolution.
Yeah, yeah.
This is France in the 1780s.
Listen, I saw
All
a
right.
thing the other day, AM, on the subway or something I was reading, and it said 48% of the population of New York is either poverty or near poverty. Half the population is in poverty. Sarah Flounders, who works with
I
Sarah,
agree, yeah.
you know Sarah? She said that the inequity of the wealth and income in the United States is greater than it was in 1789.
Probably
France.
1% controls
Everything.
No, in this city alone.
Yeah, it's getting
in
worse.
Los Angeles, well, let me finish.
Yeah,
1%, 47% of the wealth is 1% in
Yeah,
this city.
yeah.
1%. It was 12% in 1980. It's
Yeah.
46% now. LA, it's number one out of the top 20 cities in the country. Percentage of wealth concentrated into the 1% is New York City.
Wow,
And you
okay.
see so many people. Go to the Bronx. Go
Yeah.
to the Bronx. The Bronx is like an attic.
Yeah.
And they keep stuffing garbage up there,
Right, yeah.
incinerators up there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
finding these small businesses up there. They're raising their rents.
yeah.
They want to gentrify
Yeah,
it. And
rents
they
are
want
going- yeah.
asthma.
Yeah.
Asthma up in the Bronx is exponential right
Is it
now.
really?
It's the highest in the country.
Why?
Because of the incinerators are up there.
No
the
kidding, really?
concentration in the cars. You have a train. You got the L's up there. You got not that
Yeah,
does it, but
yeah.
you got the FDR.
Yeah,
you got
that's true,
you know
yeah.
all of these the Cross Bronx. So whatever
Yeah.
is contributing to
Yeah.
it, you got crumbling schools that should be rebuilt.
Yeah,
they
right.
can all look like Bronx Science.
Oh.
All of the schools can look like that. Take the police out of there, all right? They don't need police in school. And when you're late to school now in a poor neighborhood,
Yeah.
they're like
It's a
questioning you
yeah,
now.
yeah, right.
You know, I just
Stop
put it on
and
my
frisk.
website, Randy Credico. They're stopping and frisking
Yeah.
everyone. It's not
Yeah.
600,000.
Yeah.
It's not 1 million. It's 2 million.
Yeah, right,
These
right.
cops, they don't
They're out
fill
of
out the
control.
UF-250
Yeah,
forms
yeah.
because they're lazy and stupid. You know why they're lazy and stupid? Because
Why?
they come from Long Island,
Yeah.
the ones that are doing most of these stops and frisks,
Or
and a
from
few
a-
Uncle Toms
or from a
who
tour- yeah.
you know want to prove themselves to the white man that with a badge.
Or maybe
you got a
from
few
a-
cops like that
from
who
a-
are bad, but very
Yeah.
few,
And-
and most of them are from the outside, way out there in the boroughs, or from Long Island. They're beefed up
And
on
they-
steroids. You
Yeah, and they
understand?
may have
They're
come from
steroids.
fighting a terror in Iraq or someplace and having stress syndrome or something like that.
No, it's
They've
not
learned how
that.
to-
These guys, yes, you got
No,
cops.
they've learned bullying.
They've got.
in
I
the
got.
military.
I know people.
Military.
Yes, but you
Yeah.
also got guys that are just racist.
Yeah.
It's like picking people. This is what they did in L.A. under Chief Parker
Yeah.
or two Guns Davis in the 20s in L.A. Is that they brought people in from the South during the Depression.
Yeah.
They brought them in from the South.
Yeah.
And these rednecks with the ones that were. Built-in racism, and they put uniforms on them,
Yeah.
and they neutralize the black community.
Yeah,
You know,
right,
read
right.
anything by I forgot the author did the L.A. Confidential, but it's all there in novel form.
That was a film.
Yeah, James Elroy,
Okay,
about how the cops operated or city of courts. So you have these police that are coming into basically like occupied territory.
Yeah.
They're coming in to Jamaica, Queens, Brownsville, Bushwick, out there in South Bronx and Harlem. You have these white cops, you know, and they got all of this equipment up there, and they're pushing people around, and they're taking kids and shoving them against the wall or cars for no reason, not looking for guns, because you can tell if a person has a gun. They're not like saying, "Oh, this guy's he may have committed a crime and he fits the description." You know what I mean? And so they just use that, but they're stopping and frisking everyone. You understand? And it's humiliating, and it's creating a lot of tension. You know what I mean?
And that tension's growing.
The tension's growing. The problem is that you got some people that are working with the man. I won't mention Al Sharpton's name, but you know, every time there's a huge controversial shooting like Sean Bell or Robert Lee Graham or even Amadou Diallo, what he does, he comes out and he makes some noise, and then of course he has coffee with the mayor, lunch with the mayor once a week, and he kind of neutralizes it rather than letting the movement build. You know, there should be 100, 200,000 people just marching down Fifth Avenue and have civil disobedience.
What happened to the Occupy movement that was going so strong for a while? How did they break the back of that? Or
well, they came in.
And where does that resentment and that angst and that upset reside now among the American people and the people of the world? And what is the potential tapping into that is still there as these institutions all fall apart coming out of history?
Well, where Occupy Wall Street, there's still plenty of people at Occupy Wall Street. They're all being monitored because, I communicate with a lot of them on Facebook. As you can see, they're monitoring everybody, not just the feds under Obama, under this FISA and whatever,
and this new guy, what's his name, Snowden, the guy they
everyone is being watched right now. Everyone is, that's how, whenever there is an anniversary of Occupy, they know who to get. They have these face recognition scanners, right?
And that's growing exponentially, the ability to do that.
They got the drones coming here, drones this small that'll be flying
like
around.
Some dystopic horror movie.
It's really bad. It's really bad. It's gotten worse. I was born in '54. I never thought it would be worse than it was under Nixon. I pray for the days of Nixon, all right? Or for Reagan, when people could actually demonstrate. They did keep tabs on demonstrators and organizers, but now Obama has been like a Sharpton on a national level, where he's totally been the Manchurian candidate, and there's so much hope out there that when he got in, the thing is, what they said was, look, the people that run the country, we can't do it with a Republican. That is.
I think they're worried. Do you think?
So they had to put a black Democrat. Let's get a guy that we know we can control. That go out there with some great sound bites, and people will go for him. And as soon as he gets in, he puts Hillary Clinton. He keeps Gates. Everything's the same. I'll tell you the most troubling metric of how repressive the Obama administration and how seamless the transition was from Bush to him is the CWX, which is a company that trades on the stock exchange. It's Correctional Association of America. They build and manage prisons for the feds and the state, and they build detention centers for immigration. Right? They manage them too. I want you to know, when Obama was sworn in January 15th, 16th of 2008, first time, that stock was trading for $7.90 a share right there, maybe $8. It's at 36 the last time.
Doing well.
All right,
so
industry. I'm saying that it didn't go in the other direction. You know what I mean? He didn't make significant changes to the federal codes, on these mandatory minimum sentences. They're still only going after blacks and Latinos. Even the feds are going after, African Americans in poor communities for minor drug offenses. Even our state attorney general is doing that up in Albany. So there are no progressive Democrats. Democratic Party is a dead party, the same way the Whig Party was a dead party under the guy who helped pass the fugitive slave law, and that would be the two guys, Henry Clay and Mr.
Remember Governor
I
East?
got to get his name out again. Daniel Webster. Daniel Webster. The great guys.
Okay, really.
The great guys of that era. The changes of that era happened in one place in this country. It's only happened one time, and it was in Massachusetts in the wake of the rendition of Anthony Burns. Anthony Burns was the most incredible story. It's a nice book written by Professor Frank from Washington State University. Yeah. He was a slave, an escaped slave, who was from Virginia, up, and this is a very critical point in U.S. history in Massachusetts. All right, so Theodore Parker, who was one of the Secret Six for John Brown, and Thomas Whitman Higginson, and Lawrence Grimes, the black lawyer up there, Richard Dana, all these people up there, brought him in and got him a job, and then one day Charles Suttle, his owner, came up, and under the Fugitive Slave Law, you were compelled to help out. You were this is in 1854. 1854. And it happened in Massachusetts many times, right? There was a guy named Thomas Sims, who and there was a guy named Shadrach that they did what was called a Jerry Rescue. It happened in this state. In Syracuse in 1851.
Frederick Douglass is
1851. This guy by the name of Garrett Smith, who was a abolitionist, another supporter of John Brown. They had a Jerry Rescue up there. Webster was up there and saying that every fugitive slave is going to be taken back. Daniel Webster of Massachusetts, right? And so well, that very day, there was a guy by the name of, his name wasn't Jerry, but they called it the Jerry Rescue. He was taken by the feds, put into a local holding cell, and the people, 25, 30, 100 people, came in and rescued him. They pulled him out, got him to Massachusetts, through the Underground Railroad, which all the way up to Canada, and then to England, right? Where Jerry lived for, and there's a statue up in Syracuse. It's called the Jerry Rescue, right?
Really? Okay.
Incredible. And the guy, William Seward, the governor, gave the bail money to all of the defendants that broke in. So this became a national thing, a Jerry Rescue. And they had it in Massachusetts.
We should have more of that.
And so this guy, of course, I'd love to have it right now, the break. That's what John Brown would be doing. He'd be going to Greenhaven. He'd be going to Attica and breaking everyone out that's there right now. There's it's basically the new Jim Crow. It's slavery. So let me tell you what happened with Anthony Burns.
And Alexandra book's good.
So this wonderful
woman,
well, there's a lot of great people involved in the abolition movement in Massachusetts, and that was Emerson, all these guys, Thoreau, Melville. They were all involved in when this guy was kidnapped by Charles Suttle and put before what was called a slave commissioner. Commissioner at that time was Charles Loring, I believe his name was, and the other guy, Benjamin Curtis, was the guy who was the one dissenter. He sent them back, right? He sent them back. They sent them back, and Richard Dana was a progressive lawyer, and it was amazing. They tried a Jerry Rescue, and they tried to get him out, right? And then it was the most watched trial. New York Times covered it. Most watched trial. Anthony Burns, right? Frank Paris, the president, wanted this to be a showcase of power. All right, for the fugitive slave law. They, after months and months, they finally decided to send them back. Slave commissioner got paid $100 if he sent somebody back. Got paid $0 if he didn't send them back. So Suttle won, got his slave, and then they marched them down the city of Massachusetts they had a warship there to drag him in chains back to Virginia, where he rotted chained, and he was able to get a message out. It's a long story. I don't want to get into that right now.
No,
but what happened was they were so angry in Massachusetts that that was the last time any fugitive slave was taken out of that city, all right, of Boston. So what they did was the following year, 1855, they had a whole new legislature called the His legislature, Know Nothing Party, which gets a bad rap, because they were anti-Catholic. They were anti-Catholic because they were controlled by the Pope, and the Catholic Church was pro-slavery. So you had these great ministers, real people, not like Sharpton, all right? Real ministers, all right? Like Reverend Theodore Parker, all right? who died at age 49.
What about Frederick Douglass?
Well, Douglass wasn't there at the time, but he spoke out about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And what would Frederick Douglass be now?
You know, he's Frederick Douglass.
Who represents the spirit
but
of
Cornel West, the best one that could represent him is right now is Cornel West. That's why, you know, I would say there are others. There are a lot of other. Angela Davis is great. There are a lot of great. Michelle Alexander. There's no Stokely Carmichael's around.
No.
You look, they destroyed it with the COINTELPRO movement.
Who's there now?
They don't have that right now because they've infiltrated, they've neutralized. You know, the moment was the 60s. They just destroyed everything. And now you got the guy, sorry, a Sharpton, I can do his voice. I need $200 bills. I don't know why everyone goes to him. If you go to his place on Saturday, by the way, he only got 100 people in the audience. And he's not in competition with Calvin Butts. He's not in competition with Cayman Baptist Church, where they get thousands of people. He's there on Saturday by himself, and he can only get 100 people unless somebody gets shot, right? And he and his lawyer, Sanford Rubenstein, they usually do a team-up together. And I'm friendly with both of them, and they're going to kill me when they see me talking about this. But so that day, you got to read about Anthony Burns, because Walt Whitman began Leaves of Grass inspired by the Anthony Burns case.
No kidding, I don't know.
They all did. They all wrote about it. They all, Emerson did, Thoreau did. Everyone was there. You know, Thomas Whitworth Higginson, you know, who led a black brigade at Sea Island, you know, during the Civil War. So it was a great moment, and this great legislature came in. They integrated the schools in Massachusetts. They only had it in Salem at that point. Rhode Island had integrated schools, but Massachusetts, under the Hiss legislature, they had 8-hour work days, no child labor. They got rid of that. Richard Hildreth is another one who wrote about it, who's someone is somebody who nobody knows about, Richard Hildreth. He and Parker are buried in the same cemetery in Florence, the Protestant cemetery.
Florence,
Richard
Florence,
in Italy, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And so these are two great abolitionist figures.
Have you written a book on all this or something?
Have I? No, I just read a lot about the. I know my history.
Now, is there any?
I know my history. My favorite is Morris Brown, who was there was a guy who was the head of the AME Church. And AME Church.
What is AME?
AME Church. It's a Methodist Episcopalian church, right?
Okay,
all right, and it's associated with the black congregation in South Carolina. During the in 1817, they closed them down. He was a free black, right? As was this guy by the name of Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey was on a Danish slave ship. Not a Danish slave, but he was a Danish guy who was the captain of the ship. And so he took the name Denmark Vesey. And he won the number 1884 was the number. He won the South Carolina lottery, or the Charleston lottery, and he bought his freedom with it, right? And so fast forward, he went to Morris Brown's church. Morris Brown was his fiery speaker. They decided to close him down one day, the authorities in South Carolina. And what was the excuse? Disorderly conduct. Same reason why we all got arrested at Occupy Wall Street, disorderly conduct. So Morris Brown went on, and they've named schools after him. A great, great, great speaker. And then in 1822, there was an attempted conspiracy slave rebellion. And this guy had plenty of money. He didn't need to do it, Denmark Vesey, but he couldn't stand seeing what was going on there. And they ended up hanging. They never got off the ground, like the Nat Turner in 1831. Or it's like another one in Virginia. In 1800, there was a slave revolt there that never took place. It was Gabriel Prosser. And that's a really sad one. But 1800 was a significant year. John Brown was born. I get choked up thinking about it. Nat Turner was born. And this guy, Denmark Vesey, hit the lotto, and Gabriel Prosser. And then in Virginia, they had a great rebellion organized, but it was washed out. One of the worst storms in the history of Virginia. There was a guy named James Callender who was in a federal jail.
These are all like markers. Like DNA. They have markers in DNA that can mark things and like that. So that's a marker in historical terms.
That was a very important year, 1800. I remember that he was running Jefferson, against the capitalists, the Federalists, and the repressive. Aaron Burr helped him get in. It was a pretty good guy. But James Monroe was the governor. Everyone thinks that Monroe and Jefferson. Well, it didn't happen. They didn't get it because it was washed out. And one or two guy by the name of, I'll think of it in a second. It's Wolf, almost like Wolcott here, the guy who's the sellout chancellor, the guy by the name Ben Wolfott or something like. He
Chancellor of what?
No, the chancellor of schools. There's a guy with a name just like that who ratted his fellow. He was a house servant, you know, a house slave, and he ratted these guys out. And the state guard, militia. They rounded up everybody. Under James Monroe, they hanged 32 blacks.
Okay.
They had a lawyer by the name of James Rind, a white lawyer, got paid $10 per person that got hanged. That was it. And they didn't give any kind of a defense. And it never happened. It never, ever happened. You know what I mean? It never took place. And Monroe and Jefferson, it was the vice president, they sat there and they allowed it to happen. 32, 40, something like that, people were hanged from an oak tree down there, and the women, the white women of Richmond, were all upset because it was making too much noise and said, "Couldn't you move the hangings down the street?"
Okay, but that's a marker. That's a marker, right?
Yeah.
That's a marker.
Well, these are things that are important to me. At least they tried.
Yeah,
they tried. Nobody's trying right now.
Right now, that's what I'm thinking. What other marker? What other marker? Do you think? Let's say I've got in my own mind a marker like around 1970 or so. There was something going on, something blowing in the wind. Bobby Dylan had the poetry down. You had that thing, that Eastland thing. They used to have detention companies, the Alien Acts or something. They had camps set up. You had Malcolm. You had Dr. King. You had the Woodstock Festival. You had all kinds of things. You had
in
the Vietnam
60s, talking
War.
about the 60s, yeah.
Leading up to about 1970.
Yes, I was ready. I cut
it was like
my
a
teeth.
Marker. That was a
Well, the
a marker.
1960s was.
Can we take these lessons from history to apply them to now? Can we take the lessons of 1970?
I don't know things. I don't know. Look, I'm getting close to my final years here. All I know is that the 60s had I got a petition to get on the ballot for mayor. You know what I mean? This is what I'm doing. No, I don't. I need people to go to my website, Credico2013.org. Credico2013.org. Go to my website, and this will be on. It's Tuesday right now. It's Tuesday, the 18th. We still have another 16 days of petitioning. Anyone want to go out there? I'm out there every single day. I'm out there because I like to meet people. I got a nice crew out there in the Bronx and Brooklyn. I don't have anybody in Staten Island, but somebody in Queens, and of course I'm doing it. I go everywhere. But we need, we want to have so many signatures. We're there right now. It's Tuesday, the 18th, 11:55 right now. We have plenty of signatures, but we need to triple, quadruple it, because they're going to do anything. You know, they have the illusion of democracy here, but they don't want me on the ballot.
Now let me make it straight. Let's get straight here and everything, because they can have all kinds of hanky panky with election and everything. But at Credico,
Credico2013.org or .com. It both works. Credico2013.org.
Now you've got clear instructions in there how they might be able to help you to get these.
You can get a hold of me. You got there are ways to. You can go there. Go to the website. And you want any information, you can get it. You can just email me. The email's there, and we can help you get some petition signed. You got to be a registered Democrat to do that, or a notary, and then we'll continue the run.
And all of that detail.
And then we'll begin petitioning right again, because this is just for the Democratic primary, September 10th. I'm planning to run a no jails, no prison kind of general election one against the new Jim Crow.
And you've got this thing you can make available. This is like, in a certain sense, your platform.
It's on my platforms there. As you can see, I am wanted there. Randy Credico's wanted for mayor. And we're going to spice this one up. We're going to throw some what do you call it? Not salsa. We're going to put some Tabasco sauce. Tabasco sauce into the toothpaste of this election, this white of an election.
And you're comparing Miss Quinn and so forth and all that to you, and it's
Quinn is Bloomberg. It's Bloomberg and drag. Christine Quinn is Michael Bloomberg and drag. You notice none of the candidates ever showed up when a man was killed or a woman was killed by the NYPD. Remember, since Amadou Diallo was murdered in February 1999, there have been 225 more killings here in New York City. by the police.
But this thing here, I don't know which cam we could show it here. This is a list of...
You can't see it. You got it. It's
well, this is on your site,
It's
right?
updated because I got Wiener in that, too.
Okay, but this list of things that you are running for, this like a platform, they're listed on your site?
Yeah, it's on my website. You got a lot of stuff on the website. We got plenty of material on the website. You can see.
Bus and subway fares free.
Well, you can
That'd
make it free. It'd be
right?
good for the economy. We got to put, there's a lot of young kids here, victims of racism, endemic racism. As Grandpa Al Lewis would say, it's in the weave of the cloth.
God bless
and there
Lewis.
should be 100% employment. Everyone wants a job, all right? And it's not that everyone... everyone needs a job, and everyone would like to have a job, but they're not. Wall Street's sucking up all the money, so we tax them, and we can. And some of these unions are going to have to open up.
His whole platform is listed in his site, and it includes end the U.S. Police Department's stop and frisk. You're sort of
I've been against that for a long time. Forget about it. It's not stop and frisk. It's just one element. It's the criminal justice system. They stop and frisk and slam you into the prison system.
Right.
And it's the assistant district attorneys. It's the judges. The cops lie. The prosecutors all suborn perjury.
Right.
All right. The cops come and lie and witness, and the judges who are all ex-assistant DAs, right? They're the judges now. So you're going in there, you're triangulated, and basically, I call it a modern slave auction block.
Well, that's what I wanted to get back to all the
modern
abolition.
slave auction block.
Right.
You got it going right now.
Right.
That's what that is, all right? 100 years from now, when you can look at it from behind, wow, look what they're doing.
Yeah, but I was trying to make a link to the abolitionists of the 19th century.
That's what we are.
Like we have an abolitionist movement that has to inform this planet. Right?
We do have an abolition movement.
Fugitive Slave Act.
Well, we have it right here. We're not going to be able to stop it overseas. We're spreading it.
Well,
we're spreading our virus everywhere.
With our drones.
Our virus.
And
we got prisons in Afghanistan. What did Afghanistan do? They were invaded by us. We invaded them. There's 20 guys from Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Some malcontents there that from these countries that are our friends. They I guess were responsible for 9/11. And then we go to Afghanistan, and then they're defending their country. We went there. What were they supposed to do? And then we take them to Guantanamo, where they've been there longer than the average Nazi war criminal, and they haven't been convicted of anything. And the only thing they've done is defend their country when we attack them. No one will say that. That's what they did.
You just did.
Yeah.
You just did.
And I will bring that up.
And you say that on many, many issues.
Well, it's the drone strikes make the city unsafe, too. You want to make the city unsafe?
Make this city unsafe.
Yes, we got a billion people that are pissed at us.
Yeah.
I'm pissed at us.
Particularly.
I'm pissed that we're doing this. But if it were my family and I lived in Yemen or I lived in Somalia and my tent was blown up at a wedding party, Pakistan, wherever, we got our ugly fangs all over the world, and we're going to be paying dearly for it.
And we have weapon systems.
If there's a God, we're all going to hell for it.
And we got weapon systems that are species lethal now. We got a responsibility
Living bad times,
that's really called for, and they got to have a platform somewhere that can get at all these interrelated issues. It seems to me a very good place to go is the platform of Randy Credico, who's running for mayor of New York. He could be running for president on this and to revitalize the Occupy sentiment that is there, not only in New York, not only in the United States, but around the world. There's a massive change needed. And
there's got to be. People got to stand up. You got one short life. Do something. Do what Spartacus did. Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey didn't need it. John Brown, stand up, and William Walker, you name it. The Toussaint Louverture in Baku in Haiti, they stood up and risked their lives. But you got to do something. You just can't
sit here and take
and then wait to get into a convalescent home.
And
I think we're just about out of time.
I think we're almost out of time. One of the tyrannies of time. Randy, all the best.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Great
very much.
Pleasure talking. Randy Credico running for mayor.
Boy, I did a lot of talking, didn't I?
Yeah, you did a little bit of talking.
I talked more than I should have.
No, it's very good. You talk very good sense. It's a lesson in learning. This should be got out to the kiddies so that they can be educated to the real thing, along with Howard Zinn and some of the other people.
Great man, Howard Zinn. I would have that curriculum. That's a Howard Zinn history of the United States, and a Malcolm X history of the United States, and of course E.B. Du Bois. His history of the United States. That's how we got to start, by telling people the truth.
Randy, say goodbye to
Goodbye, everybody.
Say
Thank you very
goodbye
much.
to the audience. He wants your vote. He should get your vote.
Credico2013.org. I'm not a politician, folks.
yeah.
I'm here to give an enema or
Thank
colonic
God.
to the Democratic Party, which is as bad as it was when it was run by Tweed.
Thanks for Drew Ewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. Thanks, Randy, for such a very, 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 very well-led life that continues. Thank you for viewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. Okay, listen, you got to go out and get some signatures.
Well, it's over, isn't
You
it?
got to, yeah.
Let's go. What's going on here, man? Is this going to be a while? Huh? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm really ready.
Yeah. Talk to us, Malik.
It's got to get going, man.
I know.
It's just ridiculous. God.
I can't hear you, Malik. Talk a little louder and please.
I know. There's just a big glitch in everything that we did. It's nothing to do with you. I know. It's just miscommunication. That's all.
Okay, give me 10-second countdown, huh?
I'll be leaving here. Right?
Welcome very, very much to Conversations. I don't see anything on the monitor. You, Malik? Is it recording or not? Well, there's nothing on the monitor.
So this has been.
So what do you want? Let the DVD still run?
Okay.
And give another countdown? Give another countdown? Okay.
Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. All right.
Okay, if you have to leave, you have to leave.
I may leave early.
Yeah,
right,
yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Be upset with me.
No, that's all right. It's all right,
understand.
Randy. It's all right. It's all right.
You can do
Just be
commentary at the end
yeah,
about
or
why you
something
never
if we
vote.
have to. If we have
You
to.
can do commentary at the end, the last 10 minutes, and talk about
So be relaxed. Be relaxed.
you never voted before, but after listening
I
to me,
haven't voted.
all right.
Yeah, but I'm
Is he
thinking of
ready to
voting
go
now.
here?
I'm voting for mayor. I would vote if I was going to vote. I sure as hell would vote for you, and everybody I know would vote for you. I love this thing you got back here. I don't know who put that together. Yes, 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 yes. No, 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 no. That's great. That's great because every one of the goddamn issues, I'm totally 1,000% in accord with you. It'd be nice to have somebody.
Okay.
Are we? Yeah, I can barely hear you, but just give me a countdown to the air.
Yeah, I can see the screen.
You can see the screen, but it's not black or anything. It's some sort of computer screen.
Ah, this is just.
Let's do your show because you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Forget the screen.
All right.
Yeah, welcome very, very much to Conversation. A pleasure working to a very busy man, Randy Credico. He's an American comedian, political activist of a high order, of the highest order in a very real sense. And he's also the candidate for, running to become a candidate for the mayor of New York City. Randy, welcome so much to Conversations and Manhattan Network.
Nice to be here with you,
It's
Harold.
really good to be with a real, honest-to-God comedian, and you are a real comedian of the highest order.
I could say satirist, because comedian, well, I guess comedian, that's the general term, but underneath it you have clowns, you have, you have ventriloquists, and you have shock comics, and then you have satirists, and you have political satirists, and I would like to class myself as of the latter, genre.
Political satirist.
Political and social.
Yeah.
Political and social satire, I suppose, maybe it all can be classified as that because in the end, we're all making fun of the world, but I did that for a long period of time. I still dabble in stand-up comedy,
Good.
Are in clubs. I do a lot of benefits, and I do a lot of fundraisers for like BAI and anti-war organizations. Veterans for Peace, and many others. I've done more benefits than I've done actual paid gigs, I think, over the past 10 years by far. But I've always done those, and the crowd's usually my kind of crowd. It's usually a very politically progressive audience. Whatever the word progressive is, everyone calls themselves progressive these days. I know the word Democrat, the party of Obama and the party of Andrew Cuomo and the party of Christine Quinn and all of the other clowns, is not a progressive party. I mean, it's not progressive, and they call themselves progressive, but I don't know where. They won't even attack none of these politicians that I'm running against. I'm running as a Democrat. I'm running as I'm a registered Democrat. It's like Groucho Marx said he wouldn't want to be in a party that would have him as a member. Well, I'm in a party that doesn't want me as a member, so I'm part of it. They don't want me in it. I ran 3 years ago against Chuck Schumer as a Democrat, and he had me knocked off the ballot because he didn't want to debate all of the issues that I was concerned about at the time and still am, with the Patriot Act, building a fence on
Where to begin? Where to begin with the
Iraq
baloney?
War, the siege of Gaza, the drug war that's now spreading throughout Africa, Central America, even though there's a pushback. But, we're shifting. The world has become just this weird global empire, the United States, just trying to consume the world's resources. And they're, they're confederates to the cause, all of these politicians. And the local ones won't ever criticize. You should use the mayor's office, and even if you're running as a bully pulpit, to attack the power structure, even if it's part of the same party. There was an abolitionist by the name of Charles Sumner, who was around from Massachusetts. He was a Whig and a Republican, and he was a real strong abolitionist. And he said that a politician that is loyal to his party can't be trusted. So, and most of them can't be trusted. There are a few that will criticize their party, and like Paul Wellstone, the late Paul Wellstone, and look what happened to him. They usually just it's a gang. It gets in. It's they say the ins and the outs, and these guys come in there. They got the patronage. They have no ideals. They have no passion. They just want to be in there, get their pension, have a little, what appears to be power, but we know where the power is. Power is on Wall Street. The power is in the military industrial complex. In New York City, the power is in the police industrial complex. Ray Kelly has tons of power. He's been there for 12 years. He's like a J. Edgar Hoover type. In France, they had a guy by the name of Fauché under Napoleon. And then in Italy, you had a guy by the name of Arturo Buccini under Mussolini that did the same thing. And they accumulate and infiltrate, and they got the intelligence units here, that basically gathering evidence, surveilling like they're doing on a national level. But so is the police commissioner. It's not to stop terrorism, it's just to stop dissent, as we saw at Occupy Wall Street, which, if you see right here, I was arrested 5 times. I'm the only guy who shows on his literature that he was arrested. This is right down the street here at 47th and Broadway. I was arrested for no reason. They just picked me out of the crowd because they thought I was possibly the leader. 25 days into the movement, and I was in the front of the march because I was smoking a cigar and I didn't want to bother anyone with a cigar smoke. And so they thought maybe I was a Pied Piper with that cigar. Once we got to Broadway, we were divided on one side of 7th Avenue, Broadway, and the other side of 7th Broadway, and someone breached the barricades and on our side, and I was 6 deep in. But they came through and grabbed me, hit me on the ground, took me to the substation on 42nd Street,
they put you
let
through
me
the
go.
system?
Yeah, but they put me not through the whole system. It was only for an hour. I got arrested 4 other times as well. I got arrested 4 other times against stop and frisk.
Yeah.
Once in Albany with
Thank
Occupy.
you for that. Yeah, right.
Twice with Stop and Frisk
Yeah.
with Cornell West. And
God
that really
bless
kicked
Cornell
off.
West, yeah.
That street movement was really gave that Stop and Frisk, the momentum that's happening right now.
Good.
When Cornell West was with us
Yeah.
At the 28th precinct. Then we did it in the 73rd precinct in Brownsville. And I just beat that case, but I lost the first case with Cornell and 22 others. But we got so much press, and it gave it a lot of momentum
Yeah.
once you hit the street, because you just can't do it to the courts, because the court system is so corrupt on every single level.
Yeah.
It's racist, it's corrupt, and the jobs, as we know, of the criminal courts is to put black and brown people in jail.
Right.
And then the appellate division and the Supreme Courts, whatever you have here, you have the appellate division. Their job is to keep black and brown people there, give them false hope. So it's
360 degrees. You can look every direction. Everything's screwed up. It seems like me. It seems like there's something really big needed to change. And the Occupy was expressing that not only in the United States but around the world, don't you think?
Yes, the Occupy movement was a very significant movement.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was squelched by the Obama administration. They coordinated it because
really,
Mr.
Bloomberg was your rival.
Bloomberg was a local, but they did it in Baltimore. I mean, in California.
Oakland, yeah.
They did it in Oakland.
Yeah.
They did it all over the country. They coordinated it because they don't want to move it.
Randy,
they
around the world.
Okay,
because
there
it's
too.
messed up around
Auckland,
the world.
I know it was there.
Yeah.
They did not. They don't want dissent. You know what I mean? It was like a Spartacus movement appearing here. You know,
what do you think? We got this new guy, another new Bradley Manning. You know, we got
yes,
this new guy coming.
I think he's a great guy. He's a hero. Yes, I can't. You know, and Edward Snowden,
another hero.
I saw it as it was breaking. I was able to tweet it out immediately, and I think he and Bradley Manning. I would have people like that working. If I were mayor, I would have people like that going through the files of the NYPD and getting all that information out there.
That's part of your
flushing it.
platform. That's part of your platform.
I would have someone like Julian Assange, and he was a controversial figure on both the left and right. But I'd have someone that, like WikiLeaks, to manage and give out all the information on these agencies that run the city. All of the the intelligence unit reports of the NYPD, and find out who's really running the city. Wall Street, we would see who's really giving money to the candidates. And how it runs on a local level as a model for the state and the feds. If we could do that. But of course, they don't want that to be done.
No.
Capital, the cartels on Wall Street and the banks, they run the city. It's not even, it's the banks, and he's part of it.
Well, he facilitates it. He's part of it.
Yes, he's the mayor, and he does. Look, they gave it to Giuliani for 8 years. Just a thug. Just a Somoza kind of thug. And then they said, all right, we're just going to run it ourselves. All right? We're just going to buy these elections, and we're going to run it ourselves, which is what Bloomberg has done. We just run, and they don't know who to give it to right now. They don't want to give the power over.
I think you're right.
Right now. You're right, and any place else, there would just be a coup, but there's going to be some kind of electoral coup that we're not even going to know about. There's going to be they're going to destroy people like John Liu, who happens to be the best of the crew probably, but they got this federal investigation on him. Feds can go after anybody.
That's right.
They can go after anybody. It's a hit job. They're there. Basically, Luca Brasi and The Godfather. That's what they are. The feds are like that. All of the judges there and the prosecutor, U.S. attorneys there were appointed by Schumer. You know, Schumer works. He's a whore for Wall Street, and he does what they want, and that's what they say. He's our boy there, and he supports the war in Iraq. He supports the war in Afghanistan. He supports the drone strikes, the siege of Gaza. There's nothing. The drug war. Nothing good about Schumer. And so you have judges. These judges that are there. They've stuffed it on a city. County, state level, everywhere. All of the judges. There was a book written in 1855 called "Atrocious Judges" by this fellow abolitionist by the name of Richard Hildreth.
All right, I don't know it. Well,
you don't know about it, but you should. It's based on the writings of a British Lord jurist by the name of Lord Campbell. And Lord Campbell. It was basically about the judges in the Stuart era, right? Who were used as tools. They're the ones with the real power. The judges. You need the judges to say that the law is right. To give the law some credit. To give the law,
political legitimacy.
So they're the ones who carry out the laws. The judges, the prosecutors. That's what you have here. They are. You have laws, but it's the judges that ultimately inflict it on you. And so you have a bunch of scalawags in both the Eastern and the Southern District. And the local level, whether it be Manhattan, District Attorney Vance, even the black prosecutor up in the Bronx, Bob Johnson, certainly Richard Brown in Queens, Donovan in Staten Island, and Joe Hines, they are tools of the power structure.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
They like to put black and brown people in prison. All right? They like to keep everyone immobilized and inoculated from rising up and organizing, you know, and then
again, that's why they had to break Occupy.
Well, that was growing.
That's
it was
still
growing.
alive and well. It's,
Well, I
it's
don't know if it's alive and well. It's certainly a mindset.
It's alive and well in your campaign, if I
well,
may
yes,
suggest.
I would
you
use,
be all
like
in
I said,
accord for that.
I would use them.
You tap into that angst that is there at the popular level.
Well, I certainly would impose a 0.5%, and that's even mild compared to what some Occupy Wall Street veterans would want. They'd want a 1%, and I'd say, okay, 0.5%. Like they all go crazy. Anyone that's a Wall Street trader would go nuts at a 0.5%
what?
Sales tax.
Sales
In other words,
tax.
if you buy 50,000 shares of Apple,
you're
going to pay 0.5%.
Yes.
So you know the thing is so manipulated. You know, and this would you'd raise revenue and you'd cut back on the massive intrusion into this vehicle. It's a casino anyway. I mean, Bloomberg made all of his money
the Bloomberg wire.
Well, yes, he made a lot of money. He doesn't gamble.
Yeah.
He doesn't put his money into the stock market.
No,
what
like
he does,
running a crap
what he does, yes, or a rate. What you go to a racetrack?
Casino,
go to a racetrack. All right, who makes the money? The track makes the money.
Well, they make a steady 3% off the top.
And none of the people that gamble,
because they're moving the money around.
The people, you know, makes money. The people that sell tip sheets, tout sheets, and racing forms.
Right.
Walter Annenberg
made his money
made all of his money racing forms. He didn't gamble.
I know that.
He didn't bet horses.
Right.
So that's what Bloomberg has provided all of these suckers out there with information. Go to Bloomberg TV and you see, you know, you get the reports about the PE, the PG, you know, the little metrics, the fundamentals, and all this, and you think you know what you're doing. And in the meantime, there's when you got to have a broker involved,
and
right?
you got to factor in all the swaps and derivatives and all that.
You don't know anything.
But beyond the physics of understanding.
The whole thing is a Ponzi scheme, all right?
Well,
so he's made money. $20 billion by not gambling. Never gambled.
No.
He got you to gamble. Just like Walter Annenberg got
give the
racing
sucker an even
form.
break.
Gave
Mr.
everyone a racing form. You go to the track, you see his horse. He's good on the mud. He's good, coming from behind.
I had a lady that helped drag me up when I was a kid in Detroit, and everything. She taught me my mathematics by she taught me how to shoot craps at 8 years old. Something, and then she taught my mathematics by reading those fifths of a second in the racing form.
No kidding.
So there's something to be said for the racing form. You
225 and a quarter second, and a fifth of a second.
That's right. That's right.
That's the way it works.
What do you see?
36-4 breezing.
There you go. There you go. And easy. And
I used to go all the time to the track. I grew up in Southern California. I used to go to Santa Anita racetrack, and I won, and so once I got hooked, and it's like the worst thing. You get hooked on horse racing.
You think it is?
Horse well, it's terrible. It's like
anything else. At least you get out in the sun and everything like that.
Well, if you go out there and you're compulsive and you have like an addictive personality, horses are not the place because it's an instant gratification in a minute and a half.
Right.
So I used to love to go, but it's funny. I had all three winners of the Triple Crown, but I didn't bet.
Win?
No, I didn't bet them, but I did the last three races. The Kentucky Derby. No,
this year.
Yes, this one.
Really?
I would have bet all three if I was still gambling.
Really?
The one the other day with Mike Smith. I wanted with Todd Fletcher.
You didn't have any money down?
I didn't. There's no OTB here.
I know.
If there was OTB, I would have.
Well, they used to have OTB.
Yeah, but they closed it down because it was incompetent.
Because it was incompetent.
It was incompetent. Another, like most of the agencies in the city are incompetent. Agency for Children's Services incompetent. The criminal justice system is incompetent from a justice point of view, but it's competent for the power structure. They have this vehicle of repression as a socioeconomic vehicle to keep poor black and Latinos off guard. We have 60% black youth unemployment. This is what they're going to get.
Highest percentage of prison in any country in the world. I think 2.5 million people in prison.
Yeah. It's high. It's 25% of the world's population. New York, when Attica erupted in September of 1971, they had 10,000 prisoners statewide.
Did you know?
Now there's 60 1,000. It's gone up sixfold.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
in 40 years.
Do you know Dr. Joel?
Yeah.
Did you know he passed? You know, I'm
Yes,
sorry to say.
yes,
I'm really
yeah,
sorry. He's
yeah.
a great guy. He was at Attica.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people in
I think it
jail
was
still.
Ramsey Clark got him out. Ramsey Clark's a great guy.
He's
a real
really
hero.
a great
There
guy.
are some
You know,
heroes, you know?
he is. He really is. He's
Yeah.
one of these guys who is a whistleblower too in the justice system,
Absolutely.
just like this
Yeah.
kid Snowden.
Yeah,
And so
Snowden's
is
another
Bradley
hero.
Manning is
Yeah.
Bradley Manning. They should be giving him awards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's hard,
it's like
yeah.
Smedley Butler. But
Yeah,
once you go
yes.
against the system, like
Yeah.
Smedley Butler did,
Yeah.
talking about Nicaragua, El Salvador.
The truth,
Haiti,
the truth,
China,
the truth,
yeah, he was.
the
He
truth.
said he was a racketeer for capitalism.
Yeah,
That's all he
right,
was.
yeah.
He was an enforcer for capitalism,
Yeah.
and that's all we're doing in the military right now. With
Where
all
do
these
we go back in the tradition, if it could, you yourself or in general terms, like you had Mark Twain, you had that, and then you had Lenny Bruce, you had,
Mort Saul. There's a lot of Mort Saul
Lord
was
Buckley,
good.
Mort
Lord
Saul,
Buckley,
that kind of stuff.
Urban Corey, Professor Urban Corey. Well, you know,
yeah.
I visit him once or
Who
twice.
was
You should
the
have him
other
on
guy?
the show.
The guy that passed, it was so good. He was on the stage, the other guy. I can't remember.
Dick Shawn?
Carey? No, Carey. No, what was his? Damn, I can't remember.
Which
his
one
name.
was he?
The
What
one
does he
would
look
come
like,
Up,
huh?
he was
Oh,
Irish.
Will Rogers.
No,
huh?
not Will Rogers going too, but no,
Yeah.
he just died recently, but he was so good. He
Oh
was
yeah,
good.
you're talking about. I know you're talking
yeah.
about. Don't ask me because
Yeah.
I can't think of his
I
name
can't think
right
either
now.
now.
But
You
I know the
who
guy you're
the
talking
guy
about.
was
The guy
so
with the
good.
beard. Yes.
Yeah, and he was so
Yes.
good.
George
man. And
Carlin.
Carlin,
Yes.
thank you very
He
much.
is very
He was
good.
a hero of mine.
Well,
he
a couple
was
of
really
things that
on
he
the money.
did that I didn't like, but
Yeah.
you know,
What did he not
in
like?
Las Vegas, I was
Yeah.
working there in 1992,
Yeah.
91,
Working
and there
in
was
what,
I was
doing
working
comedy,
doing
stick?
impressions.
Yeah,
And a show called
impressions.
yes,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
what I'm a political impressionist.
I didn't know that.
Yes, well,
Maybe you could
back
do a
then,
couple
well, I
before
was
we
doing
end the
Reagan
program.
back
Yeah,
then.
do Reagan,
I was doing
do
Reagan.
yeah.
I was doing George Bush's father.
Yeah,
God bless
yeah,
America.
yeah.
Here's regular George
Thousand
George
points
Bush.
of light.
Now his father talked like this.
Yeah.
We are not at war with the people of Iraq. We are at war with the Iraqi people. Never have so few killed so many for so few who have so much. So I did all these impressions.
yeah,
I did
okay.
all the presidents.
I didn't know
I
you
did
did
Nixon, my
impressions,
fellow Americans.
yeah.
Let me make it perfectly clear.
yeah.
I did Ted Kennedy back then, and I did Hubert H. Humphrey, you name it. I did the Tonight Show in '84, and Humphrey had been dead. I did his voice. I did regular impressions.
Yeah.
I do Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
I started
yeah,
out
he's
with
funny, yeah.
guys like James Mason.
yeah.
I did mostly actors to begin
And
with.
you're pretty good,
Fred
man. You are
McMurray, the guy
serious.
from My Three Sons. Remember Fred
Yeah,
Walter
Fred
Me
McMurray,
now.
yeah.
On Examiner, your copy will be sacred. So when I came to New York in '81,
yeah.
after watching Ted
Right,
Kennedy's
right,
speech
right.
at the convention, you remember that great speech that he gave?
Yeah, kind of.
I was working with Red Buttons and Eddie Bracken,
Yeah.
who was in
Eddie
a few
Bracken,
in a
yeah.
few Preston Sturges films, and
Yeah.
I watched this.
Preston
I was
Sturges
working
is
up in
great.
Reno, snorting cocaine
Yeah.
and hanging out with
Yeah,
dancers. But I was in a
right.
show, and he was in a show called not Sugar Babies,
Yeah.
but Burlesque USA.
Yeah.
Both Red and Eddie Bracken. Then he did a show with Carol Channing at the Sahara Reno, and I was there.
Yeah.
So Red and I were basically crying because he was an old leftist.
Yeah.
When Reagan won
Yeah.
in 1980, and they got rid of all the liberal Democrats in the Senate.
Yeah.
But I had seen Ted Kennedy's speech from New York at the convention, and it was really very moving.
Yeah.
And I basically came here,
Yeah.
and when he said, for those whose hopes have been our concern, you know, the cause endures, the work goes on, and the dream shall never die. And so that's just paraphrasing it. But that kind of got me. And then I saw the movie Reds with Nicholson, where he plays the cynic. What's his name? Eugene O'Neill.
Yeah.
And I saw that film with Warren Beatty, and I said, you know what, I got to get. What am I doing in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Bill Kunstler had influenced me. I read a book.
another hero.
Well, I read a book there.
You were on the Bill Kunstler Foundation. Or
Yeah, I
something.
ran the Bill Kunstler Fund for Racial Justice
Yeah.
from 1997
Racial justice,
until
God, do we
2011.
need
I
that,
got 14 years, and I
Yeah.
left it because, you know what? I'm a great organizer.
Yeah. Are
I'm
you?
a
Okay.
fabulous organizer. I'm just very bad at raising money because I don't like to ask people for money.
Or you don't
know?
like to ask the people that got
My
the
mouth
money
is
for
getting
money.
so
You wouldn't
dry,
want to
I
have
could
anything to do
imagine
with the
those
people that.
spots
You
all
wouldn't
over.
want to have anything. Or is it, again, back to you wouldn't want to join any club that would have you as a member.
I just don't like
you
to
don't want
ask
to be
people
part
for
of the,
money, you know?
Okay, right.
Because you compromise too if you get money from foundations.
Yeah.
I was getting some money from some foundations there, and then they control you. You know what I mean? They want you to do this. They don't want you to do that. So
have I got a bill for you to consider?
No,
And
just
they
there
meant
are
too.
groups out
Yeah,
there. There are billionaires
Yeah.
who give. I'm not going to mention anyone's name.
yeah.
Who give money to foundations.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they want to have influence.
Yeah.
I mean, they fund
Well,
these umbrella groups who fund smaller groups like mine.
Yeah.
Mine was an activist group. 90% of the money was on overhead, and 10% was on administration costs. So overhead, I mean,
It's
by,
the
for
opposite,
activism.
yeah.
For activism.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Was that the Kunstler one you
the
mean?
Kunstler
Yeah.
Fund, and two of the things that we did.
Yeah.
And I had Margaret Ratner Kunstler, his wife is the president of the organization,
Right.
and I hope to rekindle the Kunstler
That's
Fund.
another part of your campaign. You got a thing here. I got a thing here. Let me
Well,
hold
let me
it
just
up.
finish about
Go
Kunstler
ahead,
here.
go on.
Because I met Bill Kunstler and I did his voice too. and I met him in 1986.
Yeah.
And he and I were very close for the next, until he died on September 5th, 4th or 5th. 1995.
Sad day,
and
great
so I knew him
loss,
for 9 years,
Yeah.
and we hung out a lot, and it was a big loss. His daughters are carrying on the tradition. Sarah is a lawyer.
Yeah.
She works, for people that poor African Americans and Latinos mostly, wrapped up in the criminal justice system.
Which is an awful lot of who's there.
That's all it is. It's the chow for all these white judges and white lawyers and white prosecutors. They're there, and then you got Rikers, you got the court officers, you got the bail bondsmen, you got the people that clean sheets, you got the buses that go to Rikers. That's the only job that the black New Yorkers have. Taken ironically, they're like couples in a concentration
like
camp.
serfs on a feudal estate, huh?
Yes.
Like serfs on a feudal estate.
Well,
Yeah?
there's
No?
always a
Well,
house blank. I mean,
yeah,
but it's the only
yeah.
jobs that are offered.
Yeah.
There's some. They say we got a very mixed police force. That's because they include in the count the people who do traffic, who are the best police that we have because they do something good. They get the traffic moving.
Mr. Bloomberg, when he busted up Occupy, said that's a 22,000-man army that I've got.
It's 36,000.
36,000.
He said it was
army.
a big. Yeah, he said it was his army, and it
His
is an army.
It's an army.
It's an out of control
Of occupation.
It's an out of control army. Yes, of occupation
Across the country.
Well, the French had
Across
these.
the world,
yes,
right?
the French had the French had the National Guard under Lafayette.
Yeah.
Who was a real scumbag.
Yeah.
Lafayette.
Yeah.
That kind of tried to suppress the real progressive elements of the French Revolution.
Right,
and you had the Cossacks in Russia that worked on behalf of the Tsar to repress any kind of spirited association, like not a rebellion even, just people demonstrating on the street, because that's ultimately the only way you're going to change the system. Certainly not going to change it with this election. It'll be a seamless transition.
If you get elected mayor, I think
I'll be dead.
there'll be some changes. No,
There'll
you
be, yes,
think
I
there'll be a
will be.
contract out on
They
you
will
the
take me
day
out of
after
my
election?
on my victory night. They will drive me in a open air convertible to Daley Plaza in Dallas, and I will be shot from behind and the front. And they'll say it was the guy in the book depository. They'll not let me run the city. They're not the people who run the city. All of the huge real estate interests.
Haven't you got them all in your back pocket,
nickel.
Randy?
I got
Haven't
a
you
friend
got
of
them all
mine.
in your back pocket?
I got a couple of friends that own apartments. Want to say, but they want to see a big progressive tax.
Right. Well, you got it down here. You got it down in your thing. This is every one of these things. Eliminate. Talk some of your issues. Okay.
Well, I just say all my issues is that I would bring in Cornel West to run the school system.
Okay.
I would bring in Frank Serpico to run the police department.
Welcome back, Frank.
He's 73, 74 years old, but he was someone of that. Frank Serpico in an eponymous way.
The police.
Someone that I would put in there that has the same positions. I would not have Ray Kelly. In fact, I would investigate Ray Kelly. And I think some of the things that they've done. I think some of the things that they've done.
There should be that kind of an attitude.
Of course. We got to fight back. They are in complete control. The monetary interests control, and these guys are just their enforcers. Ray Kelly, before he did this, before he did this, he was with Bear Stearns, doing security for them.
Yeah.
This is where his mindset is. And before he was that, he was with Customs for Clinton. And what did he do for Clinton? At Customs, they had the biggest scandal they've ever had. This Customs is where Herman Melville got his start, right?
Really?
He did in the 1840s. Yes, he was a. That's why he was a guy. He worked at Customs. Yeah, that's how he was so much about the sea. Yeah, he went a long time between Moby Dick and Billy Budd.
Yeah.
But he was a great abolitionist himself. He wrote a great ode to, called him the. We're really going off on a lot of free association and tangents. Well, but he did a beautiful piece on, called him the Meteor, John Brown.
John Brown.
He and Emerson, they all like John Brown. He's my hero, too.
They had a good thing on public television about the abolitionists a little while.
Oh, yeah? I must have missed it. But I'm a big
John Brown.
a big fan of that era. We don't have it right now.
No,
that era was great.
It's like we need an emancipation.
Well, you got to read about.
We need an emancipation proclamation for the people of the world.
Well, emancipation proclamation only free the slaves in the South.
Well, we need to free the
what you need is the 13th Amendment has to be. We have it right now. After the 13th Amendment, remember, we had convict leasing after Reconstruction for 80 years.
Fugitive Slave Act, for Christ's sake.
Fugitive Slave Act was 1850, and it was broken by both Henry Clay from South Carolina and another Whig. These were reactionary Whigs, because the Whig Party was kind of progressive in many ways. The other one was Daniel Webster. Everyone thinks Daniel Webster was this great guy. Emerson wrote this dark dirge piece about him.
Did he?
Yes, he did. Because he was Secretary of State under Franklin Pierce, and he enforced the fugitive slave law. In other words, he was in charge. He was up during the Liberty Convention.
In a certain sense, that's a metaphor for the present. I mean, we got a system where everything's owned by a tiny group. I don't suppose you'd want to do anything to bother the big banks. You'd just like to let them go with all the money they were given in order for all the.
Well, they made a lot of money. New York City. Remember, they were conspirators with the South. We had here. They had what's called dough-faced Democrats, or copperheads. Dough-faced Democrats, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you see the movie Lincoln, which is just okay, I mean, a nice performance. But anyway, there's a guy in there who leads a charge against the 13th Amendment by the name of Fernando Wood, who was a representative in 1863. Before that, he was a district attorney, or he was the mayor for 2 or 3 terms in New York City. And he was a very rich merchant, made a lot of money on the slave trade, basically.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of people making money on the slave trade now, because the people of the world are essentially in a serf-like position to the few people who are doing very well within the system. And a vast abolitionist movement is needed now.
Well, you need it right now. There's a nice book.
Your platform runs on practically all the things that are relevant to that particularly large-scale systems change that the whole planet needs now.
Well, it certainly needs a lot of change, big change. We need a massive jobs program here. You know what I mean? We could do it by taxing Wall Street, 0.5% sales tax on Wall Street. Some people call it the Robin Hood idea. It's been around. I got Richard Wolff has given me. Richard Wolff, you may know.
You like Richard?
Yes, I do. He's given me a lot of advice on how to raise money, and progressive real estate tax would be one way of doing it. Another way,
progressive
the main one.
Real estate. Go with Henry George? Would it go with Henry George?
I don't know.
Are you familiar?
No.
You want to be familiar maybe with Henry George?
Well, we'll have to get to Henry George another time. Right now, Richard Wolff is my guy, and he teaches at the New School, and he's a great economist.
The Breck Forum.
And he's at the Breck Forum. He's also very good. He's got a radio show on WBAI on Saturday. And he's
starting to do stuff over here too at MNN. I'm happy to say that's real faculty. We got to get really good faculty here in multimedia. Like to get you over here if we could.
Well,
but anyway, that's another issue.
But we're talking about Wolff. What he's done is he kept on, and we talked about the 0.5% sales tax on Wall Street.
Right.
You pay sales tax on $100 shoes. You pay sales tax on a soda. You pay sales tax on everything here. But you don't pay a sales tax when you buy a security or a piece of stock from, Apple.
Is that related to the Tobin tax that was being suggested? Are you familiar with that or not? That was on trades of petroleum and things like that. A little bit of a say on the thing that the people are getting the big money
There was
from.
always a very small,
small
one
percentage.
penny,
one
penny sales tax.
For the
but
people.
You could actually realize $60 billion a year on a wall. They'll say, well, we're going to move to Jersey then.
Yeah,
I say, okay,
yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's great real estate
Yeah,
down there. We'll use
right.
it for affordable housing.
Right, right.
We'll take it.
Yeah,
Go. Get
yeah,
out of here.
yeah,
Let
yeah.
us get some
So that's
get
a
a nice
major-
view of the Statue of Liberty. A lot of people who are out. We have 20,000, 30,000 homeless women and children
Yeah.
in this city.
Yeah.
Maybe and the conditions of the homeless shelters are atrocious. I
Absolutely.
speak to the people
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
people in homeless shelters
God
are
bless
on
you.
the street.
God bless you.
Homeless vets, people in jail.
Yeah.
They're not going to vote for me. But the reason why I'm in this
Yeah.
is that they get a
Yeah.
voice
Yeah.
in this upcoming
Yeah.
Democratic primary,
All right,
and
that's
then I'm
good.
going to go on and run as an independent in the general election.
Yeah.
But someone's got to give
Yeah.
a voice to those who have
Right,
been
right.
so downtrodden
right.
by this really.
Yeah.
It's like I mentioned the French Revolution.
Yeah, yeah.
This is France in the 1780s.
Listen, I saw
All
a
right.
thing the other day, AM, on the subway or something I was reading, and it said 48% of the population of New York is either poverty or near poverty. Half the population is in poverty. Sarah Flounders, who works with
I
Sarah,
agree, yeah.
you know Sarah? She said that the inequity of the wealth and income in the United States is greater than it was in 1789.
Probably
France.
1% controls
Everything.
No, in this city alone,
Yeah, it's
in
getting worse.
Los Angeles. Well, let me finish.
Yeah,
1%, 46, 47% of the wealth is 1% in
Yeah,
this city.
yeah.
1%. It was 12% in 1980. It's
Yeah.
47, 46% now. LA, it's number one out of the top 20 cities in the country. Percentage of wealth concentrated into the 1% is New York City.
Wow,
And you
okay.
see so many people. Go to the Bronx. Go
Yeah.
to the Bronx. The Bronx is like an attic.
Yeah.
And they keep stuffing garbage up there,
Right, yeah.
incinerators up there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
finding these small businesses up there. They're raising their rents.
yeah.
They want to gentrify
Yeah,
it. And
rents
they
are
want
going- yeah.
asthma.
Yeah.
Asthma up in the Bronx is exponential right
Is it
now.
really?
It's the highest in the country.
Why?
Because of the incinerators are up there.
No
the
kidding, really?
concentration in the cars. You know, you have a train. You got the L's up there. You got not that that
Yeah,
does it, but
yeah.
you got the FDR.
Yeah,
you got
yeah, yeah, that's true,
you know,
yeah.
all of these the Cross Bronx. So whatever
Yeah.
is contributing to
Yeah.
it, you got crumbling schools that should be rebuilt.
Yeah,
They
right.
can all look like Bronx Science.
Oh.
All of the schools can look like that. Take the police out of there, all right? They don't need police in school. And when you're late to school now in a poor neighborhood,
Yeah.
they're like
It's a
questioning you
yeah,
now.
yeah, right.
You know, I just
Stop
put it on
and
my
frisk.
website, Randy Credico. They're stopping frisking
Yeah.
everyone. It's not
Yeah.
600,000.
Yeah.
It's not 1 million. It's 2 million.
Yeah, right,
These
right.
cops, they don't
They're out
fill
of
out the
control.
UF-250 forms
yeah.
because they're lazy and stupid. You know why they're lazy and stupid? Because
Why?
they come from Long Island,
Yeah.
the ones that are doing most of these stops and frisks,
Or
and a
from
few
a-
Uncle Toms
or from a
who
Yeah.
you know want to prove themselves to the white man that you know with a badge.
Or maybe
you got a
from a-
few cops like that
from
who
a-
are bad, but very
Yeah.
few,
And-
and most of them are from the outside, way out there in the boroughs, or from Long Island. They're beefed up
And
on
they-
steroids. You
Yeah, and they
understand?
may have come
Steroids.
from fighting a terror in Iraq or someplace and having stress syndrome or something like
No,
that.
it's
They've
not
learned how
that.
to-
These guys, yes, you got
No,
cops.
they've learned bullying.
They've got.
in
I
the
know
military.
people.
Military.
Yes, but you
Yeah.
also got guys that are just racist.
Yeah.
It's like picking people. This is what they did in L.A. under Chief Parker
Yeah.
or two Guns Davis in the 20s in L.A. Is that they brought people in from the South during the Depression.
Yeah.
They brought them in from the South.
Yeah.
And these rednecks with the ones that were. You know, built-in racism, and they put uniforms on them,
Yeah.
and they neutralize the black community.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
read
right.
anything by I forgot the author who did the L.A. Confidential, but it's all there in novel form.
That was a film.
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
James Elroy,
Okay, I
about
didn't
how the
know,
cops operated or city of courts. So you have these police that are coming into basically like
Wow.
occupied territory.
Yeah.
They're coming in to Jamaica, Queens, Brownsville, Bushwick, out there in South Bronx and
Yeah.
Harlem. You have these white cops,
Yeah.
you know, that and they got all of this equipment up there, and they're pushing people around, and they're taking kids and shoving them against the wall or cars for no reason, not looking for guns, because you can tell if a person has a gun. They're not. they're not like saying, "Oh, this guy's he may have committed a crime and he fits the description." You know what I mean? And so they just use that, but they're stopping and frisking everyone. You understand? And it's humiliating, and it's creating a lot of tension. You know what I mean?
And that tension's growing.
The tension's growing. The problem is that you got some people that are working with the man. I won't mention Al Sharpton's name, but you know, every time there's a huge controversial shooting like Sean Bell or Romilly Graham or even Amadou Diallo, what he does, he comes out and he makes some noise, and then of course he has coffee with the mayor, lunch with the mayor once a week, and he kind of neutralizes it rather than letting the movement build. You know, there should be 100, 200,000 people just marching down Fifth Avenue and have civil disobedience.
What happened to the Occupy movement that was going so strong for a while? How did they break the back of that? Or
well, they came in.
And where does that resentment and that angst and that upset reside now among the American people and the people of the world? And what is the potential tapping into that is still there as these institutions all fall apart coming out of history?
Well, where Occupy Wall Street, there's still plenty of people at Occupy Wall Street. They're all being monitored because, I communicate with a lot of them on Facebook. As you can see, they're monitoring everybody, not just the feds under Obama, under this FISA and whatever,
and this new guy, what's
PRISM.
His name, Snowden, the guy they
everyone is being watched right now. Everyone is, that's how, whenever there is an anniversary of Occupy, they know who to get. They have these face recognition scanners, right?
And that's growing exponentially, the ability to do that.
They got the drones coming here, drones this small that'll be flying
like
around.
Some dystopic horror movie.
It's really bad. It's really bad. It's gotten worse. I was born in '54. I never thought it would be worse than it was under Nixon. I pray for the days of Nixon, all right? Or for Reagan, when people could actually demonstrate. They did keep tabs on demonstrators and organizers, but now Obama has been like a Sharpton on a national level, where he's totally been the Manchurian candidate, and there's so much hope out there that when he got in. The thing is, what they said was, look, the people that run the country, we can't do it with a Republican. That is.
I think they're worried. Do you think?
So they had to put a black Democrat. Let's get a guy that we know we can control. Go out there with some great sound bites, and people will go for him. And as soon as he gets in, he puts Hillary Clinton. He keeps Gates. Everything's the same. I'll tell you the most troubling metric of how repressive the Obama administration and how seamless the transition was from Bush to him is the CWX, which is a company that trades on the stock exchange. It's Correctional Association of America. They build and manage prisons for the feds and the state, and they build detention centers for immation. Right? They manage them too. I want you to know, when Obama was sworn in January 15th, 16th of 2008, first time, that stock was trading for $7.90 a share, I think, maybe $8. It's at 36 the last time.
Doing well.
All right, so I'm saying that it didn't go in the other direction. You know what I mean? He did make significant changes to the federal codes, on these mandatory minimum sentences. They're still only going after blacks and Latinos. Even the feds are going after, African Americans in poor communities for minor drug offenses. Even our state attorney general is doing that up in Albany. So there are no progressive Democrats. Democratic Party is a dead party, the same way the Whig Party was a dead party under the guy who helped pass the fugitive slave law, and that would be the two guys, Henry Clay and Mr.
Remember Governor?
I got to get his name out again. Daniel Webster. Daniel Webster. The great guys.
Okay, really.
The great guys of that era. The changes of that era happened in one place in this country. It's only happened one time, and it was in Massachusetts in the wake of the rendition of Anthony Burns. Anthony Burns was the most incredible story. It's a nice book written by Professor Frank from Washington State University. He was a slave, an escaped slave, who was from Virginia, up, and this is a very critical point in U.S. history in Massachusetts. All right, so Theodore Parker, who was one of the Secret Six for John Brown, and Thomas Whitman Higginson, and Lawrence Grimes, the black lawyer up there, Richard Dana, all these people up there brought him in and got him a job. And then one day, Charles Suttle, his owner, came up, and under the fugitive slave law, you were compelled to help out.
Yeah.
You were this is in 1854.
1854.
It happened in Massachusetts many times, right?
Yeah.
There was a guy by the name of Thomas Sims, and there's a guy by the name of Shadrach, that they did what was called a Jerry rescue.
Yeah.
It happened in this state in Syracuse in 1851.
Frederick Douglass is
1851. This guy by the name of Garrett Smith, who was a abolitionist, another supporter of John Brown.
Yeah.
They had a Jerry rescue up there. Webster was up there and saying that every fugitive slave is going to be taken back. Daniel Webster, Massachusetts, right? And so that very day there was a guy by the name of his name wasn't Jerry, but they called it the Jerry Rescue. He was taken by the feds, put into a local holding cell. And the people, 25, 30, 100 people, came in and rescued him. They pulled him out, got him to Massachusetts, through the Underground Railroad, which all the way up to Canada, and then to England, right? Where Jerry lived for. And there's a statue up in Syracuse. It's called the Jerry Rescue, right?
Really? Okay.
Incredible. And the guy, William Seward, the governor, gave the bail money to all of the defendants that broke in. So this became a national thing, a Jerry Rescue. And they had it in Massachusetts.
We should have more of that.
And so this guy, of course, I'd love to have it right now. The break. That's what John Brown would be doing. He'd be going to Greenhaven. He'd be going to Attica and breaking everyone out that's there right now. There's it's basically the new Jim Crow. It's slavery. So let me tell you what happened with Anthony Burns.
That Alexander book's good.
So this wonderful
woman,
well, there's a lot of great people involved in the abolition movement in Massachusetts, and that was Emerson, all these guys, Thoreau, Melville. They were all involved in when this guy was kidnapped by Charles Suttle and put before what was called a slave commissioner. Commissioner at that time was Charles Loring, I believe his name was, and the other guy, Benjamin Curtis, was the guy who was the one dissenter. He sent them back, right? He sent them back. They sent them back, and Richard Dana was a progressive lawyer, and it was amazing. They tried a Jerry rescue, and they tried to get him out, right? And then it was the most watched trial. New York Times covered it. Most watched trial. Anthony Burns, right? Frank Pierce, the president, wanted this to be a showcase of power. All right, for the fugitive slave law. They, after months and months, they finally decided to send them back. Slave commissioner got paid $100 if he sent somebody back. Got paid $0 if he didn't send them back. So Suttle won, got his slave, and then they marched them down the city of Massachusetts they had a warship there to drag him in chains back to Virginia, where he rotted chained, and he was able to get a message out. It's a long story. I don't want to get into that right now.
No,
but what happened was they were so angry in Massachusetts that that was the last time any fugitive slave was taken out of that city, all right, of Boston. So what they did was the following year, 1855, they had a whole new legislature called the Hiss legislature, Know Nothing Party, which gets a bad rap, because they were anti-Catholic. They're only anti-Catholic because they were controlled by the Pope, and the Catholic Church was pro-slavery. So you had these great ministers, real people, not like Sharpton, all right? Real ministers, all right? Like Reverend Theodore Parker, all right? Who died at age 49.
What about Frederick Douglass?
Well, Douglass wasn't there at the time, but he spoke out about it, I'm sure.
And where would Frederick Douglass be now?
He's Frederick Douglass.
Who represents the spirit of
Cornel West, the best one that could represent him is right now is Cornel West. That's why, I would say. There are others. There are a lot of other. Angela Davis is great. There are a lot of great. Michelle Alexander. There's no Stokely Carmichael's around.
No.
Look, they destroyed it with the COINTELPRO movement.
Who's there now?
They don't have that right now because they've infiltrated, they've neutralized. The moment was the 60s. They just destroyed everything. And now you got the guy, Sharpton, I can do his voice. I need $200 bills. I don't know why everyone goes to him. If you go to his place on Saturday, by the way, he only got 100 people in the audience. And he's not in competition with Calvin Butts. He's not in competition with Canaan Baptist Church, where they get thousands of people. He's there on Saturday by himself, and they can only get 100 people unless somebody gets shot, right? And he and his lawyer, Sanford Rubenstein, they usually do a team-up together. And I'm friendly with both of them. They're going to kill me when they see me talking about this. But so that day, and you got to read about Anthony Burns, because Walt Whitman began Leaves of Grass inspired by the Anthony Burns case.
No kidding. I don't know. That's
they all did. They all wrote about it. They all, Emerson did, Thoreau did. Everyone was there.
Yeah.
You know, Thomas Whitworth Higginson, you know, who led a black brigade at Sea Island, you know, during the Civil War.
Yeah.
So it was a great moment, and this great legislature came in. They integrated the schools in Massachusetts. They only had it in Salem at that point. Rhode Island had integrated schools, but Massachusetts, under the Hiss legislature, they had 8-hour work days, no child labor. They got rid of that. Richard Hildreth is another one who wrote about it, who's someone is somebody who nobody knows about, Richard Hildreth. He and Parker are buried in the same cemetery in Florence, the Protestant cemetery.
Florence,
Richard
Florence
in Italy, yes.
Yeah? Okay, yeah.
And so these are two great abolitionist figures.
Have you written a book on all this or something?
Have I?
Like
No,
that?
no. I just read a lot about the.
You really looked
I know
into
my
it.
history.
Now, is there any?
I know my history. My favorite is Morris Brown, who was there was a guy who was the head of the AME Church. And AME Church.
What is AME?
AME Church. It's a Methodist Episcopalian church, right?
Okay,
all right, and it's associated with the black congregation in South Carolina. During the in 1817, they closed them down. He was a free black, right? As was this guy by the name of Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey was on a Danish slave ship. Not a Danish slave, but he was a Danish guy who was the captain of the ship. And so he took the name Denmark Vesey. And he won the number 1884 was the number. He won the South Carolina lottery, or the Charleston lottery, and he bought his freedom with it, right? And so he fast forward, he went to Morris Brown's church. Morris Brown was his fiery speaker. They decided to close him down one day, the authorities in South Carolina. And what was the excuse? Disorderly conduct. Same reason why we all got arrested at Occupy Wall Street, disorderly conduct. So Morris Brown went on, and they've named schools after him. A great, great, great speaker. And then in 1822, there was an attempted conspiracy slave rebellion. And this guy had plenty of money. He didn't need to do it, Denmark Vesey, but he couldn't stand seeing what was going on there. And they ended up hanging. They never got off the ground, like the Nat Turner in 1831. Or it's like another one in Virginia. In 1800, there was a slave revolt there that never took place. It was Gabriel Prosser. And that's a really sad one. But 1800 was a significant year. John Brown was born. I get choked up thinking about it. Nat Turner was born. And this guy, Denmark Vesey, hit the lotto, and Gabriel Prosser. And then in Virginia, they had a great rebellion organized, but it was washed out. One of the worst storms in the history of Virginia. There was a guy named James Callender who was in a federal jail.
These are all like markers. Like in DNA. They have markers in DNA that can mark things and like that. So that's a marker in historical
That was a very important year, 1800. I remember that he was running Jefferson, against the capitalists, the Federalists, and the repressive. Aaron Burr helped them get in. He was a pretty good guy. But James Monroe was the governor. Everyone thinks that Monroe and Jefferson. Well, it didn't happen. They didn't get it because it was washed out. And one or two guy by the name of, I'll think of it in a second. It's Wolf, almost like Wolcott here, the guy who's the sellout chancellor. The guy by the name of Ben Wolfott or something like.
Chancellor what?
No, the chancellor of schools. There was a guy with a name just like that who ratted his fellow. He was a house servant, a house slave, and he ratted these guys out. And the state guard, militia. They rounded up everybody. Under James Monroe, they hanged 32 blacks. They had a lawyer by the name of James Rind, a white lawyer, got paid $10 per person that got hanged. That was it. And they didn't give any kind of a defense. And it never happened. It never, ever happened. You know what I mean? It never took place. And Monroe and Jefferson, who was the vice president, they sat there and they allowed it to happen. 32, 40, something like that, people were hanged from an oak tree down there. there, and the women, the white women of Richmond, were all upset because it was making too much noise, and said, "Can you move the hangings down the street?"
Okay, but that's a marker. That's a marker, right?
Yeah.
That's a marker.
Well, these are things that are important to me. At least they tried.
Yeah.
They tried. Nobody's trying right now.
That's what I'm thinking. What other marker? What other marker? Do you think, let's say, I've got in my own mind a marker like around 1970 or so. There was something going on, something blowing in the wind. Bobby Dylan had the poetry down. You'd had that thing, that Eastland thing. They used to have detention companies, the Alien Acts or something. They had camps set up. You had Malcolm. You had Dr. King. You had the Woodstock Festival. You had all kinds of things. You had
in
the
the
Vietnam
60s, talking
War.
about the 60s, yeah.
Leading up to about 1970.
Yes, I was ready. I cut
it's like
my
a
teeth.
marker. That was that's
well,
a marker.
1960s was
Can we take these lessons from history to apply them to now? Can we take the lessons
well,
from 1970?
I don't know things. I don't know. Look, I'm getting close to my final years here. All I know is that the 60s had a fight. I got a petition to get on the ballot for mayor. You know what I mean? This is what I'm doing. No, I don't. I need people to go to my website, Credico. 2013.org, Credico2013.org. Go to my website, and this will be on. It's Tuesday right now. It's Tuesday, the 18th. We still have another 16 days of petitioning. Anyone want to go out there? I'm out there every single day. I'm out there because I like to meet people. I got a nice crew out there in the Bronx and Brooklyn. I don't have anybody in Staten Island, but somebody in Queens, and of course I'm doing it. I go everywhere, but we need. We want to have so many signatures. We're there right now. It's Tuesday, the 18th, 11:55 right now. We have plenty of signatures, but we need to triple, quadruple it. Because they're going to do anything. They have the illusion of democracy here, but they don't want me on the ballot.
Now let me make it straight. Let's get straight here and everything, because they can have all kinds of hanky panky with election and everything. But at Credico, Credico
2013.org or .com. It both works. Credico2013.org.
Now you've got clear instructions in there how they might be able to help you to get these.
You can get a hold of me. There are ways to. You can go there. Go to the website. And you want any information, you can get it. You can just email me. The email's there, and we can help you get some petition signed. You got to be a registered Democrat to do that, or a notary, and then we'll continue the run.
And all of that detail.
And then we'll begin petitioning right again, because this is just for the Democratic primary, September 10th. I'm planning to run a no jails, no prison kind of general election one against the new Jim Crow.
And you've got this thing you can make available. This is like, in a certain sense, your platform.
It's on my platforms there. And you can see I am wanted there. Randy Credico's wanted for mayor. And we're going to spice this one up. We're going to throw some what do you call it? Not salsa. We're going to put some Tabasco sauce into the toothpaste of this election, this white of an election.
And you're comparing Miss Quinn and so forth and all that to you, and it's
Quinn is Bloomberg. It's Bloomberg and drag. Christine Quinn is Michael Bloomberg and drag. You notice none of the candidates ever showed up when a man was killed or a woman was killed by the NYPD. Remember, since Amadou Diallo was murdered in February 1999, there have been 225 more killings here in New York City by the police.
But this thing here, I don't know which camera we could show it here. This is a list of...
You can't see it. You got it. It's
this is on your site.
It's updated because it got Wiener in that too.
Okay, but this list of things that you are running for, this is like a platform. They're listed on your site.
It's on my website. You got a lot of stuff on the website. We got plenty of material on the website. You can see.
Bus and subway fares free.
Well, you can make it free. It'd
be
good for the economy. We got to put. There's a lot of young kids here. Victims of racism, endemic racism. As Grandpa Al Lewis would say, it's in the weave of the clock.
God bless
and there should be 100% employment. Everyone wants a job, all right? And it's not that everyone needs a job. And everyone would like to have a job, but they're not. Wall Street's sucking up all the money, so we tax them, we can, some of these unions are going to have to open up.
His whole platform is listed in his site and includes end the U.S. Police Department's stop and frisk.
Well, I've been against that for a long time. Forget about it. It's not stop and frisk. It's just one element. It's the criminal justice system. They stop and frisk and slam you into the prison system.
Right.
And it's the assistant district attorneys. It's the judges. The cops lie. The prosecutors all suborn perjury.
Right.
All right. The cops come and lie and witness, and the judges who are all ex-assistant DAs, right? They're the judges now. So you're going in there, you're triangulated, and basically, I call it a modern slave
Well, that's what I wanted to get back to all the
A modern
abolition.
slave auction block.
Right.
You got it going right now.
Right.
That's what that is,
Yeah.
all right? 100
That's
years
right.
from now, we can look at it from behind. Wow, look what they're doing.
Yeah, but I was trying to make a link to the
Yes.
abolitionists of
Yes.
the 19th century.
That's what we are.
Like we have an abolitionist movement that has
We
to
do.
inform this planet.
We do
And
have an
get rid of
abolition
the
movement.
Fugitive Slave Act.
Well, we have it right here. We're not going to be able to
keep
stop it overseas. We're
No.
spreading it.
Well-
we're spreading our
we're trying to
virus
spread it
everywhere.
with our drones,
Our virus.
And
you know,
our
we got
outdated-
prisons in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
What did Afghanistan do? They were invaded by us.
Yeah, I know,
we
yeah.
invaded them. There's
Yeah. And
20
Iraq.
guys from Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Some malcontents there
Yeah.
that from these countries that are our friends.
Yeah.
They I guess were responsible for 9/11.
Yeah.
And then we go to Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and then they're defending their country. We went there. What were they supposed to do?
Yeah,
And
right.
then we take them to Guantanamo,
Yeah.
where they've been there longer than the average Nazi
Yeah.
war criminal,
Yeah.
and they haven't been convicted of anything.
Yeah.
And the only thing they've done is defend their country when we attacked them.
Yeah, right.
No
right,
one will say that.
Right.
That's what they did.
You just did.
Yeah.
You just did.
And I will bring
you
that up.
say that on many, many issues.
Well,
that
it's the
would
drone
resonate.
strikes make the
Yeah.
city unsafe too.
Well,
You want to make the city unsafe?
Make this city unsafe.
Yes, we
Makes
got a
this
billion
country
people
unsafe.
that are pissed at us.
Yeah.
I'm pissed at us.
Particularly
I'm pissed that we're doing this. But if it were my family and I lived in Yemen or I lived in Somalia
Or
and my
Pakistan.
tent was blown up
Yeah.
at a wedding party,
Yeah.
Pakistan, wherever, we
Pakistan.
got our ugly fangs all
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
world,
right,
and we're
right.
going to be paying dearly
And
for
we
it.
have weapon systems.
If
that
there's
are
a God, we're all going to hell for it.
And we got weapon systems that are species lethal now. We got a responsibility
Live in bad
that's called
times,
for. That's
man.
really called for, and they got to have a platform somewhere that can get at all these interrelated issues. It seems to me a very good place to go is the platform of Randy Credico, who's running for a mayor of New York. He could be running for president on this and to revitalize the Occupy sentiment that is there, not only in New York, not only in the United States, but around the world. There's a massive change needed. And
There's got to be, people got to stand up. You got one short life. You know, do something. Do what Spartacus did. Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey didn't need it. John Brown, you stand up, and William Walker, you name it. The Toussaint Louverture in Baku, in Haiti. You know, they stood up and risked their lives. But you got to do something. You just can't
sit
all right,
here and take
and then wait to get into a convalescent home.
You
know?
And
I think we're just about out of time.
I think
aren't
we're
we?
almost out of time. We're in the tyrannies of time. Randy, all the
It was
best.
a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Great
very much.
pleasure talking. Randy Credico running for mayor.
Boy, I did a lot
and
of talking,
he's
didn't I,
Yeah,
huh?
you did a little bit of talking.
I
That's all
talked
right.
more than
no,
I
it's
should've.
good. No, it's
Yeah.
very good. You talk very good sense. It's a lesson in learning. This should be got out to the kiddies so that they can be educated to the real thing, along with Howard Zinn and some of the other people.
Great
call
man, Howard Zinn.
Truth
I
of
would
Howard.
have that curriculum. That's a Howard Zinn history of the United States, and a Malcolm X history of the United States, and of course E.B. Du Bois. You know, his history of the United States. That's how we got to start, by telling people the truth.
Randy, say goodbye to the
Goodbye,
audience.
everybody.
Say
Thank you very
goodbye
much.
to the audience. He wants your vote. He should get your vote.
Credico2013.org. I'm not a politician, folks. I'm here to give an enema or
Thank
colonic
God.
to the Democratic Party, which is as bad as it was when it was run by Tweed.
Thanks for Drew Ewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. Thanks, Randy, for such a very, 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 very well-led life that continues. Thank you for viewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. Okay, listen, you got to go out and get some signals.
Well, it's over, isn't
You
it?
gotta, yeah.